And welcome back to a special edition of The Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians and lying corporate media. We're going to have a fun time diagnosing and giving color commentary on tonight's Republican debate. We're broadcasting just west of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, over in Minnesota, Roseville, Minnesota to be precise, in the heart of the beast. Joining me as always, the political junkies. On my left, MAGA Jesse. How you doing there, buddy?
Oh yeah, no, I'm doing good. I think the debate's going to be pretty interesting. I think that we'll see who the winners and losers are. I think that DeSantis, this might be his one and only debate. We'll see what goes on there. I'm excited, but I'm also angry and upset at the fact that Perry Johnson and Larry Elder were unfairly excluded from this debate. This debate is rigged.
Hey, we'll get right into that too. On my right, they call him the blonde young Matt Walsh. We call him Mr. Straight-Laced William. How you doing there, buddy?
I think we're a little bit further west than just west of Milwaukee, don't you think?
We're west of Milwaukee. That's technically true.
It's technically
and
true.
North. Doesn't matter. That's where it's being broadcast live tonight.
Are we
on Rumble?
What's that? On Rumble?
What's that?
Are we on Rumble right now?
Are we on Rumble? Why? Are people saying we're not on Rumble?
I'm not seeing it on Rumble, but if other people are, then I believe them.
I don't know. You got to tell me. I'm not
Can
running
you guys
the
tell
dials.
us if you can hear us right now?
Running the dials, maybe, is Deep State himself, Mr. Dawson. Let us know if we're on Rumble. I guess, how would they know?
Everything looks correct on my end.
Will you check the feed then on your computer there?
Yeah,
William?
it's spinning. It's the
Is
spinning
it spinning?
logo.
See, that was our concern. If we're on YouTube, that's fine. I guess you could tell people to go to YouTube because the comment section's still working on it. I mean, we can only control. Is it time to have a beer?
Right.
First one, we don't actually know what the drinking rules are. We couldn't even find a beer opener. We're doing the state fair. We had that all set up. This is, what this is a curtain, like for studio curtain.
Yeah.
There's a little sample, and this is a slide. So there you go. It worked. This is our good friend Tucker's beer, Howenstein, and I don't know if I've ever had it, from New Ulm, Minnesota.
Rumble crashed.
Rumble crashed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be that. It has to.
Tell people we're live on YouTube, okay?
I can't even do that anymore.
Oh, really?
500 service unavailable.
Of course.
That's
Yeah, I'm trying to load Rumble and everything's being so slow.
Rumble. If you want people to be on your site, make it work.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Oh, man. Well, tell people on Twitter, at least, that we're live on YouTube. YouTube's just
Are we live on Facebook?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't really get an audience on
Hello.
Facebook these
Hello,
days.
all
Yeah.
three of you.
Yep. Yeah, we can only control what we can control.
That's true.
And what we can't control, we drink. Actually, my first sip wasn't too bad. Since 1864, I'm not shocked by that. If you guys are following along, tomorrow's the state fair, Dump Biden booth. You got to see it. We're actually getting a lot of vendors coming up to us and going, yeah, that's awesome. So make sure you check us out. We're right across from the Ballpark Cafe. We're actually pretty close to the Republican Party booth. I'll tell you what, we're a lot more spicy than their booth.
Wait, says the GOP one isn't working either.
Well, of course not. Yeah, of course.
Well,
Rumble's crashing. The GOP debate's crashing.
Yeah, I'm just looking up where else it is
Yeah,
being
where was our
streamed. It
backup?
says that it's being streamed on Fox Nation, which is the Fox business.
But you need
the Fox streaming.
I did
you
have
need
a
a
Fox
subscription
Nation
for
account.
that.
I let it expire.
I think I got a free trial for that, for something.
Yeah, maybe we have to do a free trial. So
That's crazy. Rumble, what a massive fumble.
Oh, wait.
what do we got?
We're back.
We're back. We're live
Maybe.
on Rumble right now. Maybe what?
Yeah.
Hold on.
What do you?
It's thinking.
We're holding the whole show
here.
up for you.
We're here. You're not holding it up for me. You're holding it up for Rumble. Come on.
Well, it looks like some of the comments just started popping.
Yeah,
up.
we're
See
live.
there?
We're live
We
again.
are live. Okay, so hey, Jesse,
Never mind.
we haven't been live the whole time, have we?
Yes, we have.
Have we really? Because this is the worst possible show.
I think
This-
Rumble just
How
crashed
great of
again.
entertainment are we? Like, are we live? I don't know if we're live. Are we live?
Take a drink whenever Rumble goes down.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Let's go to. Let's see if we can get the live feed from Rumble right now.
I'm on it right now, and this is what I see, and nothing is changing.
So that's gonna change once this thing's live.
No, scroll down. There's a and that's what happens.
No, it says 503.
Okay. All right. Well, you stay on top of that.
Yep.
Otherwise, we might have to do a. Why don't you, in the meantime, Dawson, just do get a free 7-day subscription to Fox Nation. Just put Dale's credit card in. He'll be mad. He'll be like, I'm not giving those assholes at Fox anymore. So not debating tonight, Trump. Also not debating tonight is Perry Johnson. What do you think about that there, Jesse?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I also got my Perry Johnson hat.
He's
my
not
number 2
wearing
guy.
it. He's not wearing
Yeah, but he's
it.
loyal. He's loyal to the foil.
You know, that's because, neither of my guys are in this whole thing, And also I like Larry Elder, too. And considering what they've done to Perry Johnson qualified by every single metric. He should be in that debate. And some people don't know who he is. If we're kind of in an intermediary spot right now, maybe we could play one of his campaign ads or that other video I sent you where he's calling the RNC the most corrupt organization.
Yeah, but I don't think we should be playing an ad right now as we're trying to figure out if we can get the stream.
We're back.
Our stream is fine.
This
is what I
see
see for the website that William gave me.
Yeah, but I'd rather. Well,
Yeah,
what's
but
that?
that's the video. Like, click on the video.
So click on the video. Yeah, what do we got here?
It's a trailer.
Oh. Well, here, let me find you a better link
We
then.
are Rumble. Do you have to refresh that?
No, I have been.
Here, if you go to the Rumble homepage, you'll see the debate.
Okay.
Well, that's a smart move by them.
Yeah, no, it's the top thing on Rumble's website there.
Okay, so here, let me.
All right. Well, now that the comments are here and everyone can see us, maybe
Eric
I should
Mortensen is
say hello to
listening to us on
everyone. Get
Facebook.
some comments
What'd you
in.
say more about Mort?
Mort's on Facebook.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Right on.
Okay.
More joining us tomorrow on our show for Trump's arrest.
This is what we got for this. I don't know what the heck is going on.
Okay.
So are they just streaming the Fox?
Well, that's probably what they're going to be doing.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that they're just putting in filler stuff for right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks good to me.
Yeah, this is what you would imagine.
Yep.
Should I be listening to this here?
I don't have audio up for it.
Oh, it looks like we're getting started.
Yeah, go and put the audio
Do
on.
you not have your headset?
Oh, I guess I could take that one over there.
Here we go.
Welcome to the first debate of the 2024
Oh my God, he just hit the light again.
This is why I can't wear hats on set.
Oh man,
It's the same light, too.
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Oh, here we go.
We should have a cam for that. We're gonna interrupt this because our idea to give you commentary tonight was because Trump's not doing it. Trump's the entertainment, right? That's why the Fox execs were just begging for him to do it. So I think we're going to use our own discretion and figure out what you don't really want to hear. Like, quite frankly, every time Ada Hutchinson's talking Mike Pence, maybe if Mike Pence goes on a rant about how Ukraine comes before America, maybe we'll talk about that. But
Dawson, could you bump up the volume a little bit?
Yep. There's your guy.
I heard a boo.
Former Vice President Mike Pence.
Boo.
South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie.
South Carolina Senator.
There's so many boos.
He looks happy to be there.
Governor Asa Hutchinson.
And North
Ah!
Carolina Governor Doug Burgum.
No crutches.
Oh,
So
and by
they
the way,
didn't
Doug
even,
Burgum went to the ER earlier today.
Tore his Achilles.
Achilles tendon. Did you hear no clapping for Asa?
Yep.
I heard clapping.
There was like one person. That was pretty sad.
We all will hear this. Very pleasant.
Are we
So
a
tonight,
democracy?
These candidates have a big opportunity to break out of the pack and to explain why they are best prepared to be the Republican choice for president.
You know what
At a
Fox
time
News
when the
says?
likely Democratic
Democracy
nominee,
24.
President
Isn't
Joe
that
Biden,
basically just
is
taking
working
the
to convince
talking
the
point of the
country
left?
That with Bidenomics,
Right?
things are looking
This
up.
is true.
They call my plan Bidenomics. I'm not sure they meant it in a totally complimentary way at the time.
Who's they?
But guess what? It's
He doesn't know.
But is it? More than 65% of Americans say the country is headed in the wrong direction. And here's the reality for some voters we talked to here in Wisconsin this week.
We have noticed a dramatic increase in prices at the grocery store just across the board.
Gas is high and food is high. A lot of people's out here homeless because they can't buy food.
It's tough when you got mortgage rates at 7-8% versus 2 to 3. It's just you can't afford a house anymore.
Inflation is ridiculous. It's killing us out here.
As we sit here tonight, The #1 song on the Billboard chart is called Rich Men North of Richmond. It is by a singer from Farmville, Virginia, named Oliver Anthony. His lyrics speak of alienation, of deep frustration with the state of government and of this country. Washington, D.C. is about 100 miles north of Richmond.
These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just want to have total control.
He's probably real mad because he's a Democrat, right there, William?
Yeah. That's what they say.
I saw you abandon your fake news today.
It's not fake news.
That was total
I
fake
have
news.
the screenshot.
A screenshot of someone's fake news. That's what it was.
You're just a facts denier,
Did
Jake.
you find it on Twitter?
You're allergic to the truth.
He gave us a tweet, supposedly, that Oliver Anthony's praising Biden.
Striking such a nerve in this country right now.
Oh, there's a softball for you. Yeah. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone.
Our country is in decline. This decline is not inevitable. It's a choice. We need to send Joe Biden back to his basement and reverse.
Yeah, but that's better. Opening statements suck.
Opening statements suck, but it's weird not to do that.
Oh, you got to get into it.
Understanding we must reverse Bidenomics so that middle-class families have a chance to succeed again. We cannot succeed as a country if you are working hard and you can't afford groceries, a car, or a new home, while Hunter Biden can make hundreds of thousands of dollars on lousy paintings. That is wrong.
It's actually not that lousy.
We also
shockingly.
cannot succeed when the Congress spends trillions and trillions of dollars. Those rich men north of Richmond have put us in this situation. And finally, we need to lower your gas prices. We're going to open up all energy production. We will be energy dominant again in this country. I showed it could be done in the state of Florida.
This may as well
I
be
pledge to
an
you as your
opening
president,
statement.
we will get the job done, and I will not let you down.
By the way, let's bring the audio down real quick.
Big smile.
Governor Christie, do you agree with Governor DeSantis just said there?
Yeah, of course he does. This is the dumbest question to answer with. The rules tonight are if we have no drinking rules. If you do a Rumble Rant $10 or more, you create the drinking rules of the night. So Rumble Rant's $10 or more, you create the drinking rules.
Here's the difference.
This is the dumbest question.
Is that we're going to have to work and make sure that we sell these ideas.
Only
And
Mike
we
Pence
able
could
to
screw this
be
question
able
up,
to
right?
Put ourselves in a position where we get a majority of the vote, not only by winning the Congress and the Senate in 24, but also by having someone who's had the experience of doing it. Now, I was elected as a conservative Republican in a blue state. With
Conservative
61%
is a
of the
strong,
vote, with a
strong word in that
Democratic legislature
context.
against me the entire time. And we still, through hard, strong decision making, brought them around to our point of view. We cut taxes in New Jersey. We cut debt in New Jersey.
All right,
We
Brad
made
Ganser
sure that
says
each and every time
that's
we
not
were
a rule.
confronted
That's just a
with bad
shots.
Democratic ideas, we stood and
All right.
stopped them. And when there were
There you
good
go, Brad.
ideas, we brought people together to make
I'll do a
progress going
shot
forward.
of beer.
Truth and accountability are the things we need to do to fight waste.
Hauenstein, by the
And I'd
way.
say the last thing is
Thanks
this,
to Tucker for
we
recommending it.
This is
cannot sit by any
Willett's
longer
bourbon. Very
and
good.
allow
I love the
not
bottle.
bad.
spending that's going on in Washington, because every dollar they spend is a dollar that these people are not allowed to spend on their children.
Hello
and
to
their
all
grandchildren.
121
It's
people
robbing our
watching.
country.
Yeah, thank you.
Good stuff.
Governor, let me just follow up very quickly. New Jersey.
Brad,
when you were
Hunter's
governor,
art does
had the
not
second
suck.
lowest
It's
credit
not the
rating
worst thing in the
nation
world.
after Illinois, and
Not
it
worth
was downgraded
$100,000 million, but
Yeah, and that's what happens when you inherit a blue state that has done that. But when you look at what we did on debt, Brett, in that state, we cut debt in that state, debt that had been left to us by 3 Democratic gubernatorial predecessors of mine who ran up that debt tremendously. And what you also saw us do was to cut the unemployment rate in half. It was over 10% when I became governor in 2010. What we also did
Like over a
was
decade
cut
ago,
pension
dude.
payments to public employees.
You're not relevant
to make sure
anymore.
that taxpayers were not being soaked by a public employee union system that was killing the taxpayer.
Thank you,
by the
Governor.
way, Tucker is right on the money. This is
Tim
good
Scott,
stuff.
Senator Scott
I like
a
this.
lot.
I'll have to get
the
this
song
more.
also goes after welfare programs. As a senator, now President Biden argued for freezing federal spending. This was back in the 80s, and dealing with
Whoa,
secret cows.
whoa.
He does not
Hunter's
talk
art
about
is
that
equivalent to Hauenstein
You've
pond
been a senator,
water?
though, for 10 years. So
This
what
stuff's
have
good.
you done
Have you tried
to
it, Brad?
rein in the increasing size of government?
Well, thank you for the question. Over the last several years, I've had an opportunity to vote against spending package after spending package after spending package. What we also need to understand is that Joe Biden's Bidenomics has led to the loss of $10,000 of spending power for the average family.
Is it just me, or does he look uncomfortable?
Inflation, your gas is up 40%. Your food is up 20%.
He always looks like that.
20%. We can stop that by turning the spigot off at Washington, sending the money back to the states, and allowing the decisions to be made at their own houses. I helped write the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in 2017. We cut taxes for a single mom like the one that raised me by 70%, for dual households by 60%, returning to the average family $4,000. If you don't send it to Washington, we can't spend it. That's good news for the American people.
Okay, but just to follow up, you did, during the Trump administration, you approved
very self-absorbed.
I can't hear anything you're saying.
$4.1 trillion, $1.7 trillion
I was
over
just
the
reading
course of that
Razzle-Dazzle's comment.
There's no doubt that during the Trump administration, when we were dealing with the COVID virus, we spent more money. But here's what happened at the end of our time in the majority. We had
Brad says Scott would make a good VP
record
candidate.
low unemployment, 3.5% for the majority of the
I don't think he'd be the worst.
70-year low for women. African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians had a all-time
Here's my
low.
question. I mean, I'm
But
just
our inflation
going to be honest with you guys. This stuff
2%.
bores the shit out of me,
Biden,
honestly.
we've seen the exact opposite.
I just don't
We've
trust
seen
any of these guys when they say this stuff. I'm sure this guy's voted for a lot of the spending in D.C., right?
Federal Reserve increases that's devastating home buyers today.
That's all I hear as a politician. This is the guy that I'm interested in.
Hold on one second. We're going
He says he's going to tell it like it is.
He didn't mention you specifically, but we'll be with you in a second, Mr. Vice President.
Ooh, Mike Pence being assertive.
Listening to all of this, why should voters choose you
The one
over
person.
more experienced politicians on this stage? You're
For that reason alone.
a blank slate for people. You're 38 years old. You've said that you only voted in 2 presidential elections before
I didn't know
this
that.
moment, this political race.
Yeah.
So first, let me just address a question that is on everybody's mind at home tonight. Who the heck is this skinny guy with a funny last name, and what the heck is he doing in the middle of this debate stage? I'll tell you, I'm not a politician, Brett. You're right about that.
He looks like he's
I'm an
wearing a
entrepreneur.
lot of
My
makeup.
parents came to this
You
country
think
with
so?
no money 40 years ago. I have gone on to found multi-billion-dollar companies.
So what I don't like about him is just so practiced and rehearsed. I wish he just went into it, you know, be real.
And I am genuinely worried that that American dream will not exist for our 2 sons and their generation unless we do something about it. And I do think Brett is going to take an outsider, because for a long time we have professional politicians in the Republican Party who have been running from something. Now is our moment to start running to something, to our vision of what it means to be an American today. If you have a broken car, you don't turn over the keys to the people who broke it again. You hand it over to a new generation to actually fix the problem. That's why I'm in this race, and we're just getting warmed up.
It's a great pitch.
All right, to you, Governor Haley. So why are you better positioned to turn around this economy that we've heard all of these voters talking about tonight than Mr. Ramaswamy, who is a successful entrepreneur nationally right
Someone
now?
said there should be a drinking
beating
game on how many times she
Well,
mentions
I don't care
Israel.
about polls. What I care about the fact is that no one is telling the American people the truth. The truth is
We're not funding
that Biden
Israel
didn't do
enough.
this to us. Our Republicans did this to us too. When they passed that $2.2 trillion COVID stimulus bill, they left us with 90 million
Oh,
people
she would have
on
voted for
Medicaid,
it,
She totally would have
42
voted
million
for it.
people on food stamps. No one has told you how to fix it. I'll tell you how to fix it. They need to stop the spending. They need to stop the borrowing. They need to eliminate the earmarks that the Republicans brought back in. And they need to make sure they understand these are taxpayer dollars. It's not their dollars. And while they're all saying this, you have Ron DeSantis, you've got Tim Scott, you've got Mike Pence. They all voted to raise the debt. And Donald Trump added $8 trillion to our debt, and our kids are never going to forgive us for this. And so at the
Well,
end of
I
the
don't
day,
disagree with her on that point.
2024
See, she could
budget,
say all
Look
the
at
right
look
things.
at MAGA Jesse.
asked for
No, I'm trying to listen.
$7.4
Oh, sorry.
billion in earmarks. Democrats asked for $2.8 billion. So you tell me who are the big spenders. I think it's time for an accountant in the White House.
Vice President Pence,
Is she an accountant by trade?
you were mentioned there. 54% of voters say the cost of groceries is a, quote, major problem for them. You blamed the Biden administration spending for that increase. But as vice president, your administration spent more than any prior, $7.8 trillion
That's a great
added
question.
to the national debt, $3.5 trillion of that before COVID. So does that mean that
something
you're
something
part of the
COVID something?
Well, first off, thanks for the question. Thanks for letting me respond to a reference to our administration's record. I'm incredibly proud of the record of the Trump-Pence administration. I mean, in 4 short years, we rebuilt our military. We revived our economy. We unleashed American energy. And we appointed 3 conservatives to the Supreme Court
All right,
that
so he's
gave the
dodging the
American
question.
people
I'm
a
gonna
new
drink.
beginning for the right to life. Now, Martha, you asked earlier who's the best prepared for this job.
He's
And I
just
must say,
literally
with all
dodging
due
the
respect
question.
to all of my friends on the stage, and even to one that's probably looking on, I think unquestionably I am the best prepared.
I like what Billy says there.
The most tested.
Just
the most
remember these
qualified
line
and
sacks
proven
of Shoop
conservative
are going to
in
say what
this
we want to
race.
hear,
I was
but
a
you
leader
shall
of the
know them by
Congress
their
of the
fruits.
United
Yeah,
States.
exactly.
I led
They can,
Indiana where we
they
balanced
can be
budgets and had
right
a AAA
when they
bond
talk,
rating
but
when I was governor. And as
I'm not
Vice
going to believe
President
a
of the
word they
United
say,
States,
except for maybe
we spent
DeSantis
funding
and
to
Vivek.
backfill on the military cuts of the Obama administration, and then we were there in the worst pandemic in 100 years.
Napkinator asks, is that a fly in his head?
William, I cannot hear you. Like,
To say that we've
are they
got
not
to
getting
deal
his
with the
audio?
long-term national debt
Do we need to turn him up?
issues. You
No,
got people on this.
everybody can hear everybody. The problem is there's also a debate going on.
No.
You kind of got to pick one or the other.
All right, you got to pick. You got to pick your spots there, William.
I've been in the hallway. I've been in the West Wing. A president of the United States has to confront every crisis facing America. I will put our nation back on the path to growth and prosperity and restore fiscal responsibility, just as I did in Congress and as governor and when I was vice president.
That's not as punchy as Make America Great Again.
You were named earlier. I'm going to give Vivek first.
We'll get to both of
Yeah,
them.
this isn't that complicated, guys. Unlock American energy, drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear. Put people back to work by no longer paying them more to stay at home. Reform the U.S. Fed, stabilize the U.S.
Ooh,
dollar,
okay.
and go to war. The only war that I will declare as U.S. president will be the war on the federal administrative state that is the source of those toxic regulations.
See, I believe him when he says it.
Blanket on the economy. So I'm not sure I exactly understood Mike Pence's comment, but I'll let you all parse that out. For me, it's pretty simple. That's something a U.S.
It's interesting they
president can
let
do
him
with
talk
focus,
there.
And I'll deliver on it.
Well, let me explain it to you.
That was like a nice little hat tip to Vivek.
I'll go slower this time.
Oh.
You know, I sometimes struggle with the reading
Look,
comprehension.
I was a House conservative leader before it was cool. I actually pushed a Deficit Reduction Act. That was the last time we actually reduced the national debt in the United States when I was the leader of House conservatives. I balanced budgets and cut taxes when I was governor. I mean, look, Joe Biden has weakened this country.
They
at
have to
home
balance
and
budgets, by the
abroad.
way. That's the dumbest
now is
comment
not
ever.
the time for on-the-job training. We don't need to bring in a rookie. We don't need to bring in people without experience. We need to bring
Was that not Donald Trump, the ticket that you were a part of?
Trump would be stealing the show already, by the way.
So here's the thing. Why are we in this mess? Part of it, and a major reason, is because how this federal government handled COVID-19 by locking down this economy. It was a mistake.
They're just placating to the base. By the way, how mad is Chris Christie right now? Is Chris Christie like, oh, come on, man. Let me in on this thing.
Just waiting for his moment.
Never let the deep state bureaucrats lock you down. You don't take somebody like Fauci and coddle him. You bring Fauci in, you sit him down, and you say, Anthony, you are fired.
Well, he praised him.
So did Trump.
I just want to finish responding to Mike. I just want to respond to Mike for 1 second because he invoked me back. Listen, now that everybody's gotten their memorized, pre-prepared slogans out of the way, we can actually have a discussion now.
Well, you do too, buddy.
Was that one of yours?
Not really, Mike.
That's
Actually,
not a
we're
good
just gonna have
comeback.
some fun tonight. And the reality is, you have a bunch of people, professional politicians, super PAC puppets, following slogans handed over to them by their 400-page super PACs. last week.
Yep.
The real choice we face in this primary is this. Do you want a super PAC puppet, or do you want a patriot who speaks the truth? Do you want incremental reform, which is what you're hearing about, or do you want revolution?
Okay.
And I stand on the side of the American revolution.
We're going to take control back here.
We need everyone to have a moment on the economy.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Can I address the
there are
COVID
two
issue
people
that
who
the
have
governor brought
not.
up?
We're going to
No.
get back to that. We are. There are two people who we have not heard from yet. So let's hear from Governor Burbank.
I agree with the comment from Scoom Legend, Buffalo Trace, but it's hard to find around here.
Of course, I'm from a town of 300 people. It's a big deal to make it on this.
These are
stage
Bill
with all
Gates
these
approved
folks.
talking points here.
I straight up forgot this guy was here.
Yeah.
But when they were all wishing me well, and I think I took them a little too literally when they said go to Milwaukee and break a leg. So,
That's funny. I'll give him that.
On this, we're missing something.
Glad you gave it to
We
him.
can't just talk about the Biden
Because it was funny.
Because the economy, energy, and national security are all tied together. Of course, we're paying too much for our energy in our state in our country right now. But part of the reason why is because of the Biden policies on energy. We've got a plan right now, the $1.2 trillion of Green New Deal spending buried in the Inflation Creation Act is something that is just subsidizing China. If we're going to stop buying oil from the Middle East and start buying batteries from China, we're just trading OPEC for Sinopec. And then belatedly, the Biden administration says, no, we're going to put sanctions on Russian oil. Well, we put sanctions on Russian oil, well, then it's 20% off. Who's buying it? China. So if you buy a battery in this country, you buy a solar panel, it's being produced in a plant in China powered by coal, or it's being powered by oil and gas at 20% off, and every farmer in this country would like to buy diesel at 20% off, just like
Skooma Legend says you can go to Iowa to find Buffalo Trace.
Isn't that beautiful? Go to Iowa and buy it at a gas station. And get some of their pizza, too, at
Whole nother
Casey's.
world. Whole nother world there.
Let me just tell you that I'm a pro-life governor from a conservative state that have a conservative record in which I lowered
No, he
Jesse,
doesn't.
didn't he, like,
Arkansas as
go against
governor.
the pro-life movement
I
or something?
created a $2 billion
No, the transgender.
Oh, transgender, that's right.
offer to my successor, and I made sure that we shrunk the size of government.
Oh, Skooma Legend
We
is
have
offering to get you
14%
some Buffalo
fewer
Trace
state employees in Arkansas after I
with
left
his
government
walls
than when I took over as
walls
governor
surplus
8 years
check.
ago. I tell that
hard to
because
find.
that's what we need in Washington, D.C. We need somebody who can actually constrain the growth of the federal government, that can actually reduce the size, and I've pledged to reduce by 10% our federal non-defense workforce. That's a specific pledge to
Dude,
make
it's
that
like-
attacks the
It's a
administrative
small part
state.
of the budget.
And let me applaud some of the
And he won't
business
do it,
partners
too.
that are
That's the
here
thing.
that have had success in business. But let me tell you, I've been a federal prosecutor. I've served our country in terms of being head of the DEA, in Homeland Security, in times of crisis. And while I think that that's experience that is important for the future of our country, to be the President of the United States that can lead with positive solutions and be held accountable.
Thank you.
Byway says he wished that we would stop talking.
I see. Well, shut up.
If we play within the rules. Okay.
This thing gets
next
really
up.
bad.
More than 1,000 people are still unaccounted for in Maui.
Thanks, Brad.
After the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century, Hawaii's governor and White House officials said that climate change amplified the cost of human error.
And a tropical storm hit California for the first time in 84 years. The ocean hit 101 degrees off the coast of Florida. And in the last month, the heat wave in the Southwest broke records nearly 50 years old.
So Alexander Diaz from Young America's Foundation has a question for you.
Polls consistently show that
Oh
young
my gosh,
people's
Ben
number one
Shapiro.
issue is climate change. How will you, as both President of the United States and leader of the Republican Party, calm their fears that the Republican Party doesn't care about climate change?
So we want to start on this with a show of hands. Do you believe in human behavior is causing climate change? Raise your hand if you do.
Look, we're not school children. Let's have a debate.
Did you see Asa almost raise his hand and put it back
It's a good
down?
move by DeSantis, right?
I don't think that's the way to do. So let me just say to Alexander this. First of all, one of the reasons our country's decline is because of the way the corporate media treats Republicans versus Democrats. Biden was on the beach while those people were suffering. He was asked about it. He said no comment. Are you kidding me? As somebody that's handled disasters in Florida, you got to be activated. You've got to be there. You've got to be present. You've got to be helping people who are doing this. And here's the deal.
Let's just answer the question.
So is that a yes or is that a yes? Is that a hand raise?
You do not.
I think it was a hand raise for him, and it's my hands are in my pockets.
No,
because
no,
the
I
climate
didn't
change
raise-
agenda
I
is
didn't
a
raise a
hoax.
hand.
Wow.
Let's be honest as Republicans. I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate
That's
change
good.
agenda is a
That's
hoax.
just
The
ridiculous.
climate change agenda is a hoax.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Good move.
And the reality The anti-carbon agenda is the wet blanket on our economy. And so the reality is more people are dying of bad climate change policies than
That's
they
true.
are of actual climate change.
Very true.
Governor Haley, are you bought and paid for?
Down by 90%
Truth bomb.
in the last century.
Listen. Wait, hold on.
I've had enough. I've had enough already tonight.
Chris Christie's
Chris Christie finally
please
gets
put
to speak.
down.
Sounds like ChatGPT. stands up here.
That's a bad
person in
comeback.
One of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, "What's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here?" was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing on stage tonight.
Give me a hug just like you did to Obama. And you'll help elect me just like you did to Obama, too.
Ooh.
Hold on. Governor Haley, would you like to respond? Are you
So,
bought and
Brett,
paid
what
for?
I would like to say is the fact that I think this is exactly why Margaret Thatcher said, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman.
How long
No.
was she sitting on that line?
No. I know Trump doesn't smoke, but I think Trump is going like this right now.
Clean air, clean water. We want to see that taken care of, but there's a right way to do it. And the right way to do it is, first of all, yes, is climate change real? Yes, it is. But if you want to go and really change the environment, then we need to start telling China and India that they have to lower their emissions. That's where our problem is. And these green subsidies that Biden has put in, all he's done is help China, because he doesn't understand all
So
these
she's
electric vehicles that he's done.
To the left of everybody, I assume, on this.
Half of the batteries
Yeah.
for electric vehicles are made in China. And so that's not helping the environment. You're putting money in China's pocket, and Biden did that. So first of all, I think we need to acknowledge the truth, which is these subsidies are not working. We also need to take on the international world and say, okay, India and China, you've got to stop polluting.
They
and
should
that's
ask that
when we'll
question.
start
How many of
doing
you guys have gotten the booster? I love that. Razzle dazzle.
I bet that would come up.
Absolutely not. I mean, here's what the American people deserve: is a debate.
Imagine
about
someone
the
answering,
issues that
"Yes, I am
affect
bought
their
and paid
lives.
for."
There's always the guy that's like, we got to get back to decency and we got to debate the issues. That's always.
Wait a second. Number two, as a kid who grew up in a single-parent household mired in poverty, I wondered, was the American dream real for kids who were devastated by poverty, devastated by the challenges of life? I came to the conclusion that America can do for anyone what she's done for me if we focus on restoring hope, creating opportunities, and protecting America. If we want the environment to be better, and we all do, the best thing to do is to bring our jobs home from China. If we create 10 million new jobs in my Made in America plan, we will have a better economy and a better environment. Let me tell you why I say that, Brett. America,
Do it quickly.
America is cut.
Skooma Legend says we need Larry Elder. It's true, and Perry Johnson too. You should be up there.
America has cut our carbon footprint in half in the last 25 years. The places where they are continuing to increase: Africa, 950 million people; India, over 1 billion; China, over 1 billion. Why would we put ourselves at a disadvantage, devastating our own economy? Let's bring our jobs home.
We have a lot of different topics to get to.
Yeah, we do. We thank you all. Thank you, Senator Scott. So coming up
We had a
next,
commercial break.
the candidates will weigh in on what could be a defining issue in the 2024
You know,
campaign.
who is saying you guys are talking too much? I want to hear the. I don't believe that is true. Come on. Who was that?
Do you want me to single him out? But
I think we're being tasteful in our commentary. I mean, maybe William speaking too much. Just
apparently you can't even hear me.
I couldn't. I
No,
was like, what's going on?
William, what you're doing is you're murmuring, and then it just throws off the entire sound. I can't understand them. I can't understand you.
Well, what? Yeah,
can't
that's
understand
true.
anything.
But what's
I'm
funny
not
is
murmuring, I'm
Jesse.
You 100% are.
It sounds like you're murmuring to us.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, give me the better microphone, then I'll sound like I'm talking.
No.
No.
Well, there you go.
It's not the microphone.
Speak
This-
up, dude.
Jesse is very content when he's watching this. Jesse, while we're on this commercial break, tell people, why is the RNC debate rigged?
Well, yeah, because Perry Johnson and Larry Elder, they both qualified. The RNC is rigging it, using these fake polls and disqualifying good polls from being counted. I think it's crazy. Onto the Chris Christie attack, though. This isn't the same as it was in 2016. In 2016, it felt like a more natural attack for him to be doing it. These are just, rearranged Marco Rubio attacks.
Yeah.
You know, that's all he used against Vivek right there. It was just the same old attack that he had against Marco Rubio. I think that Chris Christie's probably lost a step.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Vivek is he's playing a role, and he is very rehearsed.
I don't think so.
He's
I don't
obviously
think
rehearsed.
All of them are rehearsed.
They're all
up there.
rehearsed.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Well, but if you're calling people out for being rehearsed, it's people like Asa Hutchinson or
Yes,
Mike Pence.
I know,
like
but-
they aren't even answering the questions.
I
They're
know,
just,
but
let
they're
me
so
read
down
my
there.
statement
They're
here.
down there. Who cares about Ada? What were you gonna say, Dawson?
I was going to say, so the only part of politics that I enjoy watching is debates like this. The kid, the young guy, he seems like he's stealing the show better than anybody else.
Well, yes, that's his, and he has to, and he's doing a good job at that. I agree with you 100%.
And I'm also probably biased because I want my political views are the younger the better in office as of right now.
Razzle dazzle. Ron got nothing tonight.
I thought he actually had some good moments.
Well,
there.
he had to, but
average,
average,
a little
maybe.
above average. You know, the whole "I'm not going to raise my hand" that was a good thing, but
that was a smart move.
But,
Dump Biden T-shirt tomorrow. Dump Biden T-shirt. Get it at the State Fair. $25 donation Action for Liberty.
Or if you sign our
up.
petition.
Yep. Dump. And they're just come in handy. I think our AC's turning off in here. It's kind of hot.
Yeah, it is hot here.
Yeah.
Rumble Rants, $10 or more. You make the rules for drinking tonight. Now we can't get that drunk, but I guess if the people want what they want, $10, you come up with rules. Brad just paid $10 to Rumble Rant. Goes shots. That's not a rule, but we obliged. So $10 Rumble Rants more. You come up with the rules. Tell us what is the drinking game tonight.
Or if you pay your $260 surplus refund check, I don't know what we'll do. You
Look
get
at that Russell Brand commercial during the RNC debate. I really wish I
Oh
could
my gosh!
hear that.
Back
Do you have
just-
audio?
Good lord.
yeah, whatever the
Go put the audio on there. I want to hear this.
Fundamentally, we can do this together without top-down authority, that we can regulate democratically our own community. You can be you, I can be me, without judgment, beyond acceptance, love, and enthusiasm for the billions of ways that it's possible to be a human being.
Oh, it's a Rumble ad.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that'd be great if it was working at the beginning of this whole thing.
The best ad for Rumble is the platform not working at the beginning.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Literally not my fault at all.
I'm surprised we didn't lose our audience because of that.
Nope.
You guys are true.
You guys know how
true
bad
patriots.
We have the best audience ever.
Maybe ever.
A lot of people say Action for Liberty's audience is great. Truth hurts. Good show. I mean, honestly, we wouldn't even be doing this if Trump was in the debate. That's why we're going to interject our opinions at time because, quite frankly, I mean,
some of these guys are snooze fests.
They really are. Ada. And it's kind of hilarious that they're not calling on Chris Christie. No. They didn't even officially. Am I keeping track of this right? They never actually called on Chris
they
Christie.
asked him a question.
They did.
Yeah.
Because he interrupted, right?
Mm-hmm. I would
he
say
obviously didn't make an impact. All right, back to the debate.
Just for reference, I think that you guys can be more quiet and it would be beneficial.
Yeah, I think so.
Just turn the volume on.
Not by much.
Well, not too much.
Abortion rights in this country. And even in red states, there are more swing state referendums that are coming up as we head into the elections as well on this. So, Governor Haley, what do you say to your party and
Can we
to your
ban
state,
Brad?
which today confirmed a 6-week abortion law as well, especially the impact on women suburban voters across this country?
Thank you, Martha. I am unapologetically pro-life, not because the Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband was adopted and I had trouble having both of my children, so I'm surrounded by blessings. Having said that, we need to stop demonizing this issue. This is talking about the fact that unelected justices didn't need to decide something this personal, because it's personal for every woman and man. Now it's been put in the hands of the people. That's great. When it comes to a federal ban, let's be honest with the American people and say it will take 60 Senate votes. It will take a majority of the House. So in order to do that, let's find consensus. Can't we all agree that we should ban late-term abortions? Can't we all agree that we should encourage adoptions? Can't we all agree that doctors and nurses who don't believe in abortion shouldn't have to perform them? Can't we all agree that contraception should be available? And can't we all agree that we are not going to put a woman in jail or give her the death penalty if she gets an abortion? Let's treat this like a respectful issue that it is, and humanize the situation and stop demonizing the situation.
Brett, Governor, hold on. You're not mentioned, Vice President Pence. Governor DeSantis, you signed a 6-week abortion ban in Florida. One of your biggest financial backers said that you need to, quote, shift to get moderates or you will lose. What do you say to him and others who say politically that is a tough thing to sell nationally?
Well, I would say we sold the biggest election landslide victory in the history of the Republican Party in the state of Florida in 2022. That's what I did. We can win. But second of all, look, you got to do what you think is right. I believe in a culture of life. I was proud to sign the heartbeat bill. I remember one of the most impactful moments of my life was when I heard the heartbeat of my oldest daughter in my wife's womb, and then saw the sonograms of all 3 of my kids. What the Democrats are trying to do on this issue is wrong, to allow abortion all the way up to the moment of birth. I know a lady in Florida named Penny. She survived multiple abortion attempts.
Jeez.
She was left discarded in a pan. Fortunately, her grandmother saved her and brought her to a different hospital. We're better than what the Democrats are selling. We are not going to allow abortion all the way up till birth, and we will hold them accountable for their extremism.
But just to be clear, Governor, would you sign a 6-week ban federally?
I'm going to stand on the side of life. Look, I understand Wisconsin is going to do it different than Texas. I understand Iowa and New Hampshire are going to do different. But I will support the cause of life as governor and as president.
Ron, answer the question.
Let's have a
Deflecting like Trump did, by the way, just to be fair.
You're shaking your head.
Well, look, I'm not new to this cause. After I gave my life to Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, I opened up the book and I read, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And see, I set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life." And I knew from that moment on, the cause of life had to be my cause. And I've been a champion for life in the Congress, a champion for life as governor and as vice president. And to be honest with you, Nikki, you're my friend, but consensus is the opposite of leadership. When the Supreme Court returned this question to the American people, they didn't just send it to the states only. It's not a states only issue, it's a moral issue. And I promise you, as President of the United States, the American people will have a champion for life in the Oval Office. Can't we have a minimum standard in every state in the nation that says when a baby is
what?
Feeling pain, an abortion cannot be allowed. A 15-week ban is an idea whose time has come. It's supported by 70% of the American people, but it's going to take unapologetic leadership that stands on principle and expresses compassion for women in crisis.
Hold on.
This is the one issue he's good on.
I'll do that as President of the United States.
He called my name, so I want to respond to that. 30 seconds. So first of all, I will say it is in the hands of the people, and that's where it should be. But when you're talking about a federal ban, be honest with the American people. We haven't had 45 pro-life senators in over 100 years, so no Republican president can ban abortions any more than a Democrat president could ban all those state laws. Don't make women feel like they have to decide on this issue when you know we don't have 60 Senate votes in the House.
70% of the American people support legislation
but
to ban
70%
abortion
of the
after
Senate
a baby is
does
capable
not.
of experiencing pain. It's just going to take leadership.
Hold on.
70% of the Senate does not. You have to be honest with the American people.
We have to have a 15-week limit.
Let's get Governor Bergman for one minute here. But the Supreme Court did.
Said no one ever.
Roe v. Wade. And the result of that decision was that it went back to the states. So that's where it is right now. So as I understand it, you are not.
Why does he look like that?
That's a weird
of
look.
a federal ban. What do you say about the states? There's about 5 of them, including New Jersey, I think a few others, that allow abortion up until the time of birth, though. If you were president, would you
After
be able
birth in
to
Minnesota, by the
abide
way.
that?
Well, first of all, I'm a pro-life governor of a very pro-life state. and this issue is, of course, very important, but I am on the record and I stand behind that we should not have a federal abortion ban. We should not. And the reason why we shouldn't is very simple. It's the 10th Amendment in the Constitution. In the Constitution, which the states created the federal government.
Well, he's got a
not the other
POC
way
constitution.
around.
He's got my
It
vote
says
now.
that there were certain duties allowed to the federal government, delegated to them by the states. The rest are left to the states, comma, or importantly, or to the people. We need to get back to freedom and liberty for the people in this country. And we can't have Republicans who fight for 50 years for this great cause to return it back to the states, and then the next day they turn around and go, no, the feds should do that, because the feds are stepping into people's lives, they're stepping into people's businesses over and over. If we say that the feds should be in on this one, where do we stop? I say that we follow the Constitution, and this is returned to the states. This is where it should be.
Governor Burgum, you signed a 6-week ban. Time out. You signed a 6-week ban. Governor Burgum, you signed a 6-week ban, so you're saying federally it's all going to go to the states.
Yes, and what is going to work in New York will never work in North Dakota, and vice versa. That's
Governor
why 50
Asa
states.
Hutchinson,
That's why
right
50
here.
states.
This is too important of an issue that I have to address. First of all, the Supreme Court gave it back to the elected representatives, whether it's the states or whether it's the United States Congress. So there is authority, and that's why President Biden is pushing for a Democrat proposal, which is, in essence, abortion on demand through the term. So they have their extreme position at a national level. It's most likely going to be addressed in the states, but it's certainly fine for it to be addressed at the national level as well. Arkansas has the record of being the most pro-life state in the nation. I signed 30 pro-life pieces of legislation while I was governor. And every state can determine a different outcome here. And it is the most important issue for women and for the unborn child and for our country that we get this right. It's going to be a continued debate. Let's talk about it in terms of compassion, in terms of protecting the life, and also understanding how we have to enhance adoption services, how we have to enhance maternal care.
Well, you think that's a Freudian slip there, Dawson?
Yeah, I think he's old.
There are a lot of issues that are very important. Senator, I'll let you weigh in.
We cannot let states like California, New York, and Illinois have abortions on demand up until the day of birth. That is immoral, it is unethical, it is wrong. We must have a president of the United States who will advocate and fight for, at the minimum, a 15-week limit. I am 100% pro-life conservative. I have a 100% pro-life record. I got to tell you, though, we must fight for life. Our Declaration of Independence says our Creator gave us inalienable rights that include life. That is a list. That is an issue we must solve. We can't leave it to Illinois. We can't leave it to Minnesota. We can't leave it to Illinois. We must solve that issue with a 15-week limit at a minimum.
Brett, I think we're all pro-life, but what I would love is for someone to ask Biden and Kamala Harris, are they for 38 weeks? Are they for 39 weeks? Are they for 40 weeks? Because that's what the media needs to be asking.
All right, another issue is America and the crime crisis, the homelessness crisis. American cities are in decline. People are moving out as homelessness, drugs, crime move in. There are problems accelerated. They did accelerate during the pandemic and are still rising, actually.
Murders in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, all up 30% between 2019 and 2022. Homelessness is up 11%, the largest jump in recorded history. Vice President Pence, a lot of this began in the COVID era. How much of what we're seeing happening around this country is a result of those COVID lockdowns, and is your administration in part to blame for how we got here?
Well, I think what's in part to blame is the Democrats have been talking about defunding the police for the last 5 years. And we ought to be funding law enforcement, particularly in our major cities, at unprecedented levels. I mean, it's extraordinary to think about the violence that's claiming innocent lives literally every week in every major city in this country. And yet Democrats and liberal prosecutors in major metropolitan areas continue to to work out their fanciful agendas, to do bail reform and go easy. What we need is strong commitment to law enforcement. We need leadership in Washington, D.C. that'll marshal the resources of the states, marshal the resources of the American people. But let me also say it's about opportunity. I mean, a lot of people don't know that those Trump-Pence tax cuts that we got signed into law go away at the end of 2025 if we don't have a Republican president and a Republican House and a Republican Senate. When I'm president in the United States, we're actually going to cut taxes further. We're going to extend those tax cuts, and we're going to close the Federal Department of Education, block grant all that funding back to the states with a growing economy and educational choice.
This is a really boring part of the debate. I'm just going to say that. This is just like no punches are being thrown.
Well, someone's going to throw some COVID punches here.
I hope.
There were 30 shootings, and a number of them including kids. Add that to the big increase in school shootings around the country. Democrats blame this crisis on easy access to guns. They also blame Republicans for blocking gun control legislation. What would President Christie do?
You know, I'm proud of the fact, Brett, that I'm the only person, along with Governor Hutchinson, up on this stage who's actually running United States Attorney's Office. I ran the 5th largest office in America in a state where there is significant urban crime. And the problem is not going to be solved by more money. The problem is that these prosecutors in these localities in the states are refusing to do their job and to arrest violent criminals. So what a President Christie would do is appoint an attorney general who would instruct each of the 93 U.S. attorneys that they are to take over the prosecution of violent crime in every one of those cities that are failing to do so. We have plenty of room in the federal prisons to lock up these violent criminals and clean up what's going on all across this country in these individual cities. Secondly, what we need to make sure that each and every one of these criminals understand is that the laws apply to everybody. And when Hunter Biden fills out a fake application, a false application for a gun permit, and then is facing a 10-year mandatory minimum, which was mandated by legislation sponsored by his father, and then you have a Justice Department that walks away from those charges, we're telling people that the law doesn't apply to everybody. In a Christie administration, he would go to jail for 10 years.
What about a President Ramaswamy?
We got a Rumble rant.
Next break, he's got to do it.
Okay.
So the reality is we have a crime wave in this country, and we know how to fix it. The question is, do we actually have the spine to do it? More cops in the streets who are on the streets able to do their jobs without looking over their shoulder for getting sued. And we also have a mental health epidemic in this country. Just over the same period that we have closed mental health institutions, we have seen a spike in violent crime. Do we have the spine to bring them back? I think we should. As president, I will. But it's not just drugging up people in those psychiatric institutions with Zoloft and Seroquel. It's a deeper issue. I think faith-based approaches can play a role here, too. We're in the middle of a national identity crisis. And I say this as a member of my generation. The problem in our country right now, the reason we have that mental health epidemic, is that people are so hungry for purpose and meaning at a time when family, faith, patriotism, hard work have all disappeared. What we really need is a tonal reset from the top, saying that this is what it means to be an American. Yes, we will stand for the rule of law. Yes, we will close the southern border where criminals are coming in every day. And yes, we will back law enforcement because we remember who we really are. And that's also how we address that mental health epidemic in the next generation that is directly leading to violent crime across this country.
Governor DeSantis, really quickly. Governor DeSantis.
Yeah, haven't heard DeSantis speak in a while.
We're not looking for a new national identity. The American people are the most faith-filled, freedom-loving, idealistic, heart.
These radical left-wing district attorneys, they get into office and they say they're not going to prosecute crimes they disagree with. The inmates start running the asylum. There's one guy in this entire country that's ever done anything about that. Me. When we had 2 of these district attorneys in Florida elected with Soros funding who said they wouldn't do their job, I removed them from their posts. They are gone. And as president, we are going to go after all of these people because they are hurting the quality of life and they are victimizing innocent people in every corner of this country, and it will stop when I get into office.
Okay, one more here before the break, Governor.
I was gonna say we need a break real bad.
Brett and Martha, I just thought it was interesting. You asked your question about the problems we're having in big cities. Nobody ever asked the question of what about the crime wave in small towns? Because in a small town, neighbors help neighbors. People understand each other. If a farmer
Try
gets
that
sick,
in a
everybody
small
comes
town.
together and helps them get the crop off.
Beat me to
There's
it.
accountability,
do
there's
it.
transparency.
It's gonna do
One
it.
thing that I think this country could use is somebody in the White House that understands small town values, because that's our road back to get this country on track again.
Governor
He
Hutchinson
looks nervous.
Was former head of the DEA. I understand the drug crisis in America.
Only makes
And
me
right
not want to
now,
vote for the
whenever
guy.
You look at
Right.
the challenges in our inner city.
This is a former head of a
there's three
big
simple words that
bureaucratic
we need.
nightmare.
One, enforce the law when it comes to crime. Secondly, let's deal with the challenge of fentanyl. And it's both about stopping the fentanyl coming from Mexico, but it's also about education of our young people, making sure that we have the tools that are needed for addiction counseling. That's what we expanded in Arkansas as well. Whenever you look at the underlying challenge of America, though, no one likes to see an America with smash and grab in our inner cities. As President of the United States, that will stop. It starts at the top with the respect for our justice system that a former president who's under indictment has undermined by attacking judges, by attacking prosecutors,
Not
by
good.
attacking the system and saying he's aggrieved. And so we have to have respect for our justice system and the rule
He doesn't
of
even
law,
get
and it
an
starts at
reaction.
the
That's
top
how
with
much
the President of the
they don't
United
care
States.
about the guy.
We're take a break.
Yeah, everyone wants to defend
That
Trump
dude-
on that one.
Speaking of that, right now you are looking live at Fulton
Oh.
County Jail,
Ooh.
where former President Donald
Spicy.
Trump will be processed tomorrow.
Oh, what the
So
heck?
next, the candidates will have an opportunity to talk about.
Okay,
This
yeah,
is
we're
where
gonna
it
get
gets
good
good.
here. We got a lot to cover. First of all, we got a Rumble rant. It says, was it Napkinator?
Yeah, he said,
Please, go ahead.
oh, yeah, please have Jesse pick a drinking
Okay,
rule.
you can think about that for a
Okay.
second.
I'll take
Dawson,
some
what I
here.
want you to do is I want you to
The Trump segment is coming up, so
Yes, exactly. We'll get to it. They're going to have about
Yeah.
2 minutes of commercials. Think about that for a second. I want you to scan over to William's old seat there, and I want to show people what's going on here at Liberty headquarters here in Roseville, Minnesota. We have got cheese balls. Why do we have cheese balls? Big bags of cheese balls.
is this a Trump is orange joke?
I actually, as I was putting that down, I realized that thing, and I almost put it on top just for that. But it has nothing to do with that. We're doing a poll at the state fair tomorrow. The poll at the state fair, you get we're giving them corn kernels, right? And they get to put them in the jugs. Well, William's in charge of getting jugs. He calls me crying last night. Jake, I don't know what we're gonna do. He wasn't crying.
I was very distraught.
I was editorializing there. And he said, Jake, the best thing to do is cheese balls. We're all familiar with the cheese ball containers. So just so you guys know, Action for Liberty headquarters has a surplus of cheese balls. Now, when we're doing it, we're like transferring it. Some get lost in the process, right?
Who knows where they go?
I know where they went. Don't need those cheese balls. But we got a surplus of cheese balls. That's the commitment we have to Liberty right there. At the State Fair tomorrow. By the way, you can pick up your Dump Biden T-shirts, $25.
That's a steal.
Get your fans. Show that proudly. We're getting a lot of people, the vendors, the people setting up, going, yeah, nice sign. It's so great. With that being said, do you have a drinking rule for us? You got a $10.
Yeah, I think I got one. Every time that Mike Pence claims to, anytime that Mike Pence takes credit for something that Trump did, anytime that
Beautiful.
Mike Pence is, taking credit for America First policy, drink.
That's a
Because
good
that's obviously, he's just using
Hold on. What is this
Trump as a
commercial?
crutch.
What is this commercial?
It's from the RNC.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, is it like a pro? That would be funny if Trump bought ads.
I saw Ted Cruz. You know that he ate my son?
Ted
You know
Cruz
that?
did?
Yeah, Ted Cruz. Can you believe that?
Well, he's a Zodiac killer, don't
Yeah.
you know?
Well, his dad was Fidel Castro, right?
No, his dad killed JFK.
There you go.
Yeah.
Same thing, right?
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
All right. So the rule is when Mike Pence takes credit for something Trump did. I think it's a good rule. Now, if you guys want more rules here for the drinking game, $10 or more Rumble rent. and you get to make rules. Oh, look at that Black Rifle Coffee, love it.
Yeah, they're sponsoring. the
Skooma
whole
Legend
thing.
is buying a T-shirt, which is great.
Thank you, Skooma Legend. I saw Skooma Legend said earlier, going to the State Fair tomorrow. By the way, I'll be there tomorrow morning. Okay, I won't be there a lot. You'll see William and Jesse there a lot.
We'll be doing autographs tomorrow too. By the
Okay,
way.
sure, yeah. That's, watch out. That's a good ad right there.
Yeah.
Generator.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah.
that's not a generator. I hate this.
Oh, okay.
People put bad.
That's
No.
a good ad.
Let me
That's
get
one of
this.
my favorite ads.
Shut
Oh,
up.
wait, no, I hate that one.
Shut up. Pet peeve of mine. Okay, I fell for it. A battery's not a generator.
No.
A battery's a storage of energy. It's not a generator. Stop calling them generators. You need to get that beer opener.
Oh
for,
yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Can I chuck it at you?
No, don't chuck it at him.
Yeah.
Not
we don't
in my
need
studio,
We
you
don't
know?
need a Doug Burgum. Oh, look at this. We got full send.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? We should have bought ads. Why weren't we buying ads for this?
Yeah.
I didn't even think of
the
that.
stream
Well,
would've
it's
stuttered in
Well,
the middle
they're
of it.
probably it's probably a Rumble ad because
no, it's
Yeah.
probably
yeah, it's
not
a Rumble ad.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Is
because
Full Send on Rumble now?
well, no, they're not exclusively on there. Some of their content's exclusively on there. If they if they push the limits a little bit too far, they have to do it on Rumble. But
The Trump hating Drudge Report. Those my age used to love Drudge Report. Says right now, leading the choice for who's winning the first Republican debate, Ramaswamy at 32.5%, Christie at 21.96%, DeSanctimonious at 16.44%, Haley at 14.22%. Then it just drops off. Everyone's like the second tier. Hutchinson doesn't have any love, barely.
Yeah,
I don't
nobody
even know how he got
cares.
59 votes.
Hey, Chris Christie is chatting with Ron DeSantis during the commercial break right now.
I gotta say, Ron DeSantis
that was half an hour ago.
is not
What-
interesting.
What
at
is
all.
that? That's
What do you mean?
you act like that's some big news.
My phone died. Yeah, no, they're colluding.
Colluding? They're just talking.
wait, Chris Christie and DeSantis are colluding?
Yeah.
All right, I
that's
like
what
to
the-
hear it,
that's
William. About time you.
Fake
time
news.
you exposed
It's
it.
not fake news. There's a video
All right,
of
let's go
it.
watch this. This is when it's gonna get good.
But we have a lot to get to in this second hour of this.
Very unfair, Jake. Very unfair.
The Americans want to hear you all.
This is what everyone wants to hear right here. No, not China. Well, there we go.
Immigration, education.
But Trump. Let's talk about
But
Trump.
we are going to take a brief moment and talk about the elephant not in the room.
When the debate is about
Trump has been
another
indicted in
candidate?
4 different states on 91 counts. He will be processed tomorrow in Georgia at the Fulton County Jail for charges relating to the 2020 election loss.
You all signed a pledge to support the eventual Republican nominee.
Oh,
If
man.
former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice?
Ooh,
Watch them all go back
Raise your
on their.
hand if you would.
Interesting question. Oh,
Whoa! Okay.
you got to get away from the mic there on that.
What was with the hesitancy
Oh,
there?
and DeSantis did it too.
Hold on. So just be clear.
Ramaswamy winning that round.
You were kind of late to the game there, but you raised your hand.
No, I'm doing this. Look.
Yeah, see, this is why they should be disqualified.
And then look, look. Here's the bottom line.
Next commercial break. You explain that rigging more.
To stop normalizing this conduct. Okay. Now.
Anti-Trump people in the
Now,
audience.
whether or not
Those are the
whether or
lobbyists and
not
special interests
you
clapping.
believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong, the conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States.
Yeah. The conduct set standard by Biden, right?
And you know, this is the great thing about this country. Booing is allowed, but it doesn't change the truth.
Yeah, so is being obese.
Oh my gosh, what is he doing?
Raise your hand supporting.
I'd like to get in and respond. Let's just speak the truth, okay? President Trump, I believe, was the best president of the 21st century.
True. Fact.
It's a fact.
Honest to
I
God,
believe it.
Your claim that Donald Trump is motivated by vengeance and grievance would be a lot more credible if your entire campaign were not based on vengeance and grievance against one man.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's good.
See a bunch of people blindly bashing
That's good.
Donald
Look at him
Trump without
panicking
an
over there.
iota of vision for this
What'd he say?
country. They could just change the channel to MSNBC right now. But I'm not running for president of MSNBC. I am running for president of the United States. We're skating on thin ice, and we cannot set a precedent where the party in power uses police force to indict its political opponents. It is wrong.
Amen.
That's what he needed to do tonight. That's a good win there.
Yep.
Let me tell you
I'm sorry. 30 seconds covered.
You make me laugh because you sit here in an answer. You sit here in an answer right.
Love the you gotta love the audience. You gotta love them.
No. The audience is RNC.
They're booing him.
I know it's not all good.
So listen, the more time we spend doing this, the less
Oh,
time.
yeah,
they
let's
can
lecture
talk
the
about
audience
issues you
now.
wanna Talk about.
Want to talk about this?
Governor Christie.
You sit here talking about how you want to stand up for the rule of law.
Yeah, this is at least
and law and
interesting.
order. And the fact is that it can't be selective. In your book, you had much different things to say about Donald Trump than you're saying here tonight.
That's not true.
No, it is very true.
That is not
It's
true.
very true. I read it,
Because
and
there's
I
a
know.
difference
Look,
between bad behavior and illegal behavior, Chris. And you as a prosecutor should know better.
Yeah, you know what? I know a lot
There's
better.
a difference between bad behavior. And
Chris Christie put in his place?
Oh, yeah.
You've never done it like you've never done anything to try to advance the interests of this government except to put yourself forward as a candidate tonight. And here's the thing. We've stood up for law and order. I did it as U.S. attorney. I did it as governor. And I am not going to bow to anyone when we have a president of the United States who disrespects the Constitution. He said,
Get your MSNBC contributors.
he said,
These are politicized indictments, and we have to call out the truth.
Martha, it's important to say that the president said, Donald Trump said, it's okay to suspend the Constitution.
That's not
Now,
what he
the
said.
oath you take is to preserve, protect, and defend, not suspend. I will always stand up for our Constitution.
Lie.
We'll let you
regardless of
correct that
political
at the
pressure.
break, okay, Jesse? You can correct that. This is too good, though.
I have another question. Hold on, you will. All right, so President Trump's former vice president is on this stage tonight. He has faced hecklers on the campaign trail for his actions on January the 6th. On that day, the vice president moved forward with the certification of the election. So do you believe that Mike Pence did the right thing, Senator Scott? Do you believe he did the right thing?
Absolutely. He did the right thing. Number one. Number two.
Number one. Number two.
We should be asking ourselves a bigger question about the weaponization of the Department of Justice. When I'm president, the first thing I'll do is fire Merrick Garland. Second thing I'll do.
Anyone would do
Yeah,
that.
of course you would. Oh, God.
We need Lady Justice to wear a blindfold. Without that, no one has confidence in our justice system. 17.
This is why Tim's not going to do well. He just comes across as a politician.
Our Department of Justice. Here's why.
I'm gonna go
We
plug my
keep
phone in
seeing
real
not
quick.
only the weaponization of the
Well,
Department
Hey,
of Justice against political
give me a little bit of
opponents,
ice.
but also
Yeah, sure.
against parents who show up at school board meetings. They're called, under this DOJ, they're called domestic terrorists.
Firing Christopher
But that's not- but that's not
shut
it.
down the FBI. Actually have the courage to get it right.
Mr. Let me finish my comments.
Yes.
Not only that, in addition to that, we see the SWAT team show up at pro-life activist homes with guns drawn because this DOJ uses their power, uses their authority, not just against political opponents, but against conservatives and conservative causes. It is time for a change in America, and I will bring that change to the greatest nation on God's green earth.
We have an important
But Governor DeSantis,
It's just
do you
fake.
believe that
That's
Mike
all it is.
Pence
Yeah.
It's
did
just
the
fake.
right
I
thing
can't
on
stand
Said
that
nothing.
stuff.
Here's what
Yeah.
we need to do. We need to end the weaponization of these federal agents.
But that's not
I
the
will do
question.
that.
That's not the question.
I know, but here's the thing.
gonna answer the
This
question?
election is not about January 6th of 2021. It's about January 20th of 2025 when the next president is going to take office. I know what the Democrats would like to do. They want to talk about all these other issues, but we've got to focus on your future. We've got to focus on reversing the decline of our country. I learned in the military, I was assigned with U.S. Navy SEALs in Iraq, that you focus on the
Well, that was a
mission
tricky thing he
above
just
all
said.
else.
He was a
You
JAG
can't
officer.
Get distracted. So Republicans, we've got to look forward, and we've got to make sure that we're bringing the message.
That was kind of a
can
little
win.
humble brag there. I didn't like that.
Did not answer the question.
Vice President Pence, what do you think, Vice
States
President?
is to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. I think I think the American people deserve to know whether everyone on this stage agrees that I kept my oath to the Constitution that day. There's no more important
Wrong.
So answer the question.
I've answered this before.
So yes.
Why are we? Mike did his duty. I got no beef with him. But here's the thing: is this what we're going to be focusing
Jesse.
on going forward? The rehashing of this? I'll tell you.
This is the death of DeSantis.
They will win if we let him get away with it. I'm not letting Biden hang out in the basement this time. We're going to run him ragged around this country, and we're going to hold him accountable.
Let me just say, Governor DeSantis, we spent an hour talking about policy. Former President Trump is beating you by 30, 40 points in many polls. So it is a factor in the GOP primary. Governor Hutchinson, you did not raise your hand.
I did not raise my hand because there's an important issue we as a party have to face. And over a year ago, I said that Donald Trump was morally disqualified from being president again as a result of what happened on January 6th. More people are understanding the importance of that, including conservative legal scholars who says he may be disqualified.
Oh, legal scholars.
Under the
Good.
14th Amendment.
Of course.
Man.
Must listen to those guys.
As a result of the insurrection. This is something.
As a former head of a DA.
Rules and
This isn't even a Trump audience,
so
and they're booing him. I love it.
I'm not going to support somebody who's been convicted of a serious felony or who has this.
So you can't keep a pledge?
Under our Constitution, and that's consistent with RNC rules. And I hope everybody would agree with me.
We're going to get to a lot more topics.
Yeah, we're going to move on. No, we're going to.
No, we're not moving on. Stay on this topic. It's great.
I'd like to answer.
I've already been on it, Vice President Pence.
All right, I'd like to answer the question you asked and not give a pre-canned speech. Mike Pence stood for the Constitution, and he deserves not grudging credit. He deserves our thanks as Americans for putting his oath of office
Thanks, Chris.
and the
Krispy Kreme.
Constitution of the United States
Look at that look.
before personal, political, and unfair pressure. And the argument that we need to have in this party before we can move on to the issues that Ron talked about is we have to dispense with the person who said that we need to suspend the Constitution
There
to
he
put
goes
forward
again.
his
Yeah.
political career. Mike Pence said no, and he deserves credit for it.
Okay. Governor Haley, we haven't heard from you on this. Do you agree? Do you agree
No.
that Vice President Pence did the right thing that day or not?
I do think that Vice President Pence did the right thing, and I do think that we need to give him credit for that. But what I will also tell you is, look, I mean, when it comes to whether President Trump should serve or not, I trust the American people. Let them vote. Let them decide. But what they will tell you is that it is time for a new generational conservative leader. We have to look at the fact that 3/4 of Americans don't want a rematch between Trump and Biden. And we have to face the fact that Trump is the most disliked politician in America. We can't win a general election that way.
Governor Bergen?
Yeah, he'll probably win.
That's an interesting point, Governor Bergen.
It's Governor Bergen opportunity.
Happy to answer the question. Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th. But I would say you started off the top of this hour saying we're going to talk about China, Ukraine, education.
We are.
China is the #1 threat to our country. And every minute that these eight candidates spend talking about the past instead about the future is time that is just you know who loves it? Biden loves it, but China loves it when we're talking about the past.
Okay, as promised, we were going to spend a few questions on it, let people say what they wanted to say, and now, indeed, we are moving on.
No, that was
Back
such
to the
good.
boring stuff.
That's such a good
Can I
part.
speak on this issue? I was
You
kind of
did
involved.
you answered on this.
You did say
answer.
something.
Yeah.
We thought you were done, but you
No, I
please.
wasn't done.
Well, Mike, why don't you say this? Join me
Yeah.
in making a
Hold
commitment that on day one you would pardon Donald Trump. I'm the only candidate on the stage.
Good move.
Awesome.
That is how we move our nation forward.
I don't know
and
why
turn the
you
page
assume that
forward. That's
Donald
exactly
Trump
right.
will be convicted of these crimes.
Make
Okay.
a commitment. The same justice system that was this
Vivek,
corrupt.
here's the difference between you and me.
Yeah, I'm not a
I've
professional
actually-
politician. That's the
I've
difference. Who can answer a question?
I've actually given pardons when I was governor of the state of Indiana. It usually follows a finding of guilt and contrition by the individual that's been convicted. So, if I'm president of the United States, we'll give fair consideration to any pardon request. But if I may, you know, it's not about looking back at January 2021. It's about January 20th, 2017.
What?
I put my left hand on Ronald Reagan's Bible. I raised my right hand.
Jeez, so
And I
cringe.
took an oath
Yeah.
to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And it ended
So
with a prayer.
cringe.
So help me God.
Does this count as?
It was a promise
Yeah,
that
yeah,
I made to the
there you
American
go.
people.
Mm-hmm.
But I also made it to my Heavenly Father. Every day for 4 years, I sought to keep that oath. And everyone on this stage needs to make it clear whether or not they'll do the same if they earn this job and the confidence of the American people. Now, look, I've made it clear. I had hoped that the issues surrounding the 2020 election and the controversies around January 6th had not come to this, had not come to criminal proceedings. I would rather they had been resolved by the American people and the American people alone. But no one's above the law, and President Trump is entitled to the presumption of innocence that every American is entitled to, and we will make sure and extend that to him. But the American people deserve to know that the president asked me in his request that I reject or return votes unilaterally, power that no vice president in American history had ever exercised or taken. He asked me to put him over the Constitution. And I chose the Constitution, and I always will. I had no right to overturn the election, and Kamala Harris will have no right to overturn the election when we beat them in 2024.
Thank you, Vice President Pence. Now we are moving on to other issues. The U.S. has committed nearly $77 billion in aid to the Ukraine war.
Here we go.
The administration is now asking Congress
more.
for $24 billion more. Regardless of
This
that
is gonna get interesting.
specifics of that plan, is there anyone on stage who would not support the increase of more funding to
I'm watching. I'm watching.
We would not support it.
Europe needs to step up. I mean, I would have Europe.
Such a weak
Only
thing when you go
two?
like this. Put your hand up.
Wow.
Look at him go.
And that's
Just
the problem
Vivek.
with these assholes. I can't stand that.
I will have Europe pull their weight. Right now, they're not doing that.
would not support
and I think
more
we need
funding?
to do. And I think our
Would you support more
should be
funding?
Contingent on them doing it. And I would have support in China to be able to take China and do what we need to do.
Testing the wind. I love it.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
Oh,
you
yeah.
would not support an increase of funding.
Of course not.
I would not. And I think that this is disastrous, that we are protecting against an invasion across somebody else's border when we should use those same military resources to prevent across the invasion of our own southern border here in the United States of America. We are driving Russia
There you go.
further into China's
Listen to the audience.
hands.
These-
The Russia-China alliance is the single greatest threat we face, and I find it offensive that we have professional politicians on the stage that will make a pilgrimage to Kyiv, to their Pope, Zelensky, without doing the same thing for people in Maui or the south side of Chicago
Yeah.
or Kensington. I think that we have to put the interests of Americans first, secure our own border instead of somebody
Tucker,
else's.
welcome to the show.
And the reality is, this is
Here's to you.
also how we project strength by making America strong at home.
All right, we
we're
heard,
gonna
we
go-
heard the names.
let's-
Governor
let's
Christie
go to-
first.
All right, look, I did go to Ukraine, and I went to Ukraine because I wanted to see for myself what Vladimir Putin's army was doing to the free Ukrainian people. And let me tell you, I want you all to look around this arena tonight and imagine that every one of these seats was filled. And if every one of them was filled, there would still be 2,500 more children outside to make over 20,000 who have been abducted, stolen, ripped from their mothers and fathers, and brought back to Russia to be programmed to fight their own families. They have gouged out people's eyes, cut off their ears, and shot people in the back of the head, men, and then gone into those homes and raped the daughters and the wives who were left as widows and orphans. This is the Vladimir Putin. This is the Vladimir Putin.
This is propaganda.
Who Donald Trump called brilliant and a genius. If we don't stand up against this type of autocratic
weak
killing
attack.
in the world, we will be next.
I mean, Chris Christie, read the audience here.
Yeah.
Chris Christie can at least do this.
Vice President Pence has mentioned you
Right.
get 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, let me be clear. Anybody that thinks that we can't solve the problems here in the United States and be the leader of the free world has a pretty small view of the greatest nation on earth.
We're bankrupt, you
He's
moron.
repeated this line a couple times.
$32 trillion in debt. We can't do it. We have no money.
The arsenal of democracy for years. The Reagan doctrine years ago made it
Oh,
clear.
the Reagan.
They said,
Okay,
if you're willing to fight
you
the
are the
communists on
reason
their soil,
we are in this
we'll give you the
position.
means to fight 'em there, so
This
our
is the
troops don't
problem.
have to fight 'em. Vivek, if we do the giveaway that you want to give to Putin to give him his land,
Oh,
it's
God.
gonna be too long for him
Whatever.
to
Please.
cross a NATO border, and frankly, our men and women of our armed forces are going to have to go and fight him. I want to let the Ukrainians fight and drive.
You are driving our military to go fight Putin. So ridiculous.
Address Pence. Vice President Pence. I have a newsflash. The USSR does not exist anymore. It fell back in 1990. The real threat. You talked about the communists, and the real communists that we have to address right now
have any
is the
idea what Vladimir Putin's aims
you
are.
already spoke. Now I actually have something to say.
Vladimir Putin has been saying he wants to reestablish the old Soviet sphere.
You've made your point.
More propaganda. Yep. Got to march, beat those drums, march right
He's a
in.
dictator and a murderer, and the United States of America needs to stand against authoritarianism.
Mr. Ramaswamy, 30 seconds. Respond. The real threat we face today is communist China, and we are
Amen.
driving Russia further into China's arms. The Russia-China military alliance is the single greatest threat we face. Nobody in either political party is talking about it, and I am the only non-neocon on this stage who will keep us out of war.
Mr. Vice President, we can't hear. Mr. Vice President,
is to give Russia everything they've got.
Mr. Vice President.
Give them a promise that Ukraine will never be in NATO, and then somehow
Mr. Vice President.
China will not think about taking Taiwan. We achieve peace through strength.
Mr. Vice
America
President.
needs to stand for
The old man's
There,
having
you
an
hear the
episode.
division in that audience, the Republican base.
When we hear this bell, that means your time's done. So, Mr. Vice President, we appreciate your aggressiveness here. 30 seconds is 30 seconds. Mr. Ramaswamy, you were mentioned. You get 30 seconds.
So the reality is that today, Ukraine is not.
There's the military-industrial
the United
complex.
States of America. And I think that the same people who took us into the Iraq War, the same people who took us into the Vietnam War, you cannot end it. You cannot start another no-win war. And I do not want to get to the point where we're sending our military resources abroad when we could be better using them here at home to protect our own borders, protect the homeland.
All right.
That will be my top priority in foreign
I think
policy.
we gave you
protect
more
this
than the 30
homeland.
seconds in the rebut. So I do want to get to some other people because everybody, we respect everybody's time here. So, Governor Haley, you did not raise your hand, meaning that
Big
you
difference here.
would support more funding
Of course
for the
you would.
Ukraine war. You have said of Governor DeSantis that you didn't appreciate it when he initially called it a territorial dispute. Why?
First of all, the American president needs to have moral clarity. They need to know the difference between right and wrong. They need to know the difference between good and evil. When you look at the situation with Russia and Ukraine, here you have a pro-American country that was invaded by a thug. So when you want to talk about what has been given to Ukraine, less than 3.5% of our defense budget has been given to Ukraine. If you look at the percentages per GDP, 11 of the European countries have given more than the U.S. But what's really important is go back to when China and Russia held hands, shook hands before the Olympics, and named themselves unlimited partners. A win for Russia is a win for China. We have to know that.
Rehearse
Ukraine
talking
is the
points,
first
right?
line of defense for
Yep.
us. And the problem that Vivek doesn't understand is he wants to hand Ukraine to Russia. He wants to let China eat Taiwan. He wants to go and stop
No, he
funding
doesn't.
Israel. You don't do that to friends. What you do instead is you have the backs of your friends. Ukraine is the front line of defense. Putin has said once Russia takes Ukraine, Poland and the Baltics are next. That's a world war. We're trying to prevent war.
Let's
Look
get
at what
into
Putin did
Israel.
today. He killed Prigozhin. When I was at the UN, the Russian ambassador suddenly died. This guy is a murderer, and you are choosing a murderer over a
Oh, please. Please. Propaganda.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you have 30 seconds. Mr. DeSantis.
Of course, Putin's a murderer, by the way.
Yeah.
Your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon.
Oh.
And you know,
Boeing came off of it, but you've been pushing this lie.
She's pissed.
You're really tough, Nikki.
Okay,
Israel's Israel.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to address each of those right now. This is the false lies of a professional politician. There you have it.
Your watch,
So
you
the
will
reality
make America less safe. You have no foreign policy experience, and it shows.
And you know what? The foreign policy experience that you all have shows in the pointless wars with Donald
Yeah, your foreign policy experience is the problem, Nikki Haley.
never be stronger than by the end of my first term. But it's not a client relationship. It is a friendship. And you know what friends do? Friends help each other stand on their own 2 feet. So I will lead Abraham Accords 2.0. I will partner with Israel to make sure Iran never is nuclear armed. But you know what I love about Israel? And I've been there probably in the last 10 years more than most people on this stage. You know what I love about them? I love their border policies. I love their tough on crime policies. I love that they have a national identity and an iron dome to protect their homeland. And so, yes, I want to learn from the friends that we're supporting. And what puzzles
you wanna
me
cut the
is, no, I want to learn from those and apply those to protect our homeland,
Nikki.
Nikki.
Israel
That is
needs
the answer.
America. America needs Israel.
Okay,
They
Governor
are the
DeSantis,
problem.
Governor DeSantis, you were mentioned in the territorial dispute. Not only
No, it's not.
Vivek is
a
winning
territorial
this
dispute either.
100%.
Your
Nikki is
first
pissed.
obligation
Yeah, no kidding.
is to defend our country and its people. And that means you're sending all this money, but you're not doing what we need to do to secure our own border. We have tens of thousands of people
We can
who
do
are
both
being
at the
killed because,
same
well, we're
time.
not handling
And
both.
we can do
And so
both
I am
at
going
the
to
same
declare it a
time.
national
she needs to be
emergency.
quiet.
I'm not going to send troops to Ukraine, but I am going to send them to our southern border. When these drug pushers are bringing fentanyl across the border, that's going to be the last thing they do. We're going to use force, and we're going to leave them stone cold dead.
we're actually going to move on to China. We're going to talk about China.
Okay.
Governor Burgum. China has the biggest navy in the world, the biggest army in the world. Now they have warships off the coast of Alaska. They are threatening Taiwan. In coming years, China will have 1,500 nuclear warheads, it's believed. The U.S. just arrested 2 sailors accused of spying for China within our military. So the question is, how would you deter China as a president, Burgum?
Well, this is the number one issue we're facing. And of course, we haven't been talking about it. And we act like that letting Russia win in the Ukraine is like a gimme as opposed to a gift to China. Russia has become China's gas station. But how would we do it? The Biden administration is a complete fail. China imports 10 million barrels of oil a day, more than any other country in the world. They do not even have all the food they need to feed everybody in that country. So they don't have energy security or food security. But the Biden administration sends Blinken, Yellen over there. They're over there talking. They don't even bring up energy because they're too busy trying to kill the U.S. energy here. And what we need to do is not meetings, not press releases, because something that would send a lot more than a press release is actually Harpoon missiles. We need anti-ship missiles on Taiwan. The way that you have a war never start, which is the goal, the way you have peace through strength is that you actually have strength. You actually have deterrence. And what we have in what we've got going on in Ukraine is an example of when deterrence fail. What is an example there of Biden's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, the fact that he green-lighted Putin moving into Ukraine, and then now they see weakness, and when they see weakness, they make a move. And we have to be strong, and we have to be strong both in Ukraine, and we can solve the southern border. Absolutely, we can do that, because guess what? There's only 19,855 authorized people for the Border Patrol, but they're not all staff because the Biden administration doesn't enforce law enforcement. But Biden administration wanted to put 87,000 people in the IRS as opposed to giving the money and the support we need to our own Border Patrol.
Okay. Senator Scott on China, that same question.
Can I speak about China?
Let's fire the 87,000 IRS agents and hire or double the number of Border Patrol agents. I just left Yuma, Arizona about 2 weeks ago. The most pressing need of the American people from a national security standpoint is our southern border. It has led to the death of 70,000 Americans because of fentanyl. Plus 6 million illegal crossings since President Biden has taken office.
Wasn't this about China?
200 people on our national
Take it the way
security
you want to
watch
take it,
list
right?
have been caught at our border.
Answer the question
How
you want to
many
answer.
have not been caught at our southern border? If we just spend $10 billion, we could finish the wall. For $5 billion more, we could have the military-grade technology to surveil our southern border to stop the flow of fentanyl and save 70,000 Americans a year. That should be the priority of this government. And as the next
My
president
prediction,
of the
Tim
United
Scott
States,
makes no
I will
movement after
make
this debate.
that border wall
No movement.
What'd
He's
you
out
say?
for, Tim Scott's out for nothing. Makes no movement after
I
this
say I
debate.
couldn't agree more.
I think
it's not
Vivek
just the
surges.
70,000 from fentanyl. We've
He's doing
lost
the best.
200,000 people to overdoses since Biden took office. That's 300 people a day. We're taking mass casualties, and that's a statistic. But these are sons and daughters, nieces and nephews that we're losing. We've got North Dakota troops down there flying night helicopter missions from San Diego to the Gulf Coast, trying to stop these transnational criminal organizations. They've got better funding on their side than we've got on our side.
Speaking of which, Governor Hutchinson, images from earlier this month, Governor Hutchinson,
with Mexico,
Vice President Pence,
policy.
images from earlier
There we go.
this month.
Drink.
We secured the
Vice
southern
President
border.
Pence, it really
Yep.
doesn't-
That's a Mike
I'm
Pence
asking you a
moment.
question. Earlier this month, images showed suspected cartel members crossing into
Need a
Texas
refill.
with rifles. Do you consider this an invasion? Would you authorize lethal force along that border?
There would be lethal force used by the Border Patrol, law enforcement as needed to protect the border. Absolutely. When you look at the military has to be used for intelligence gathering purposes. This is not unusual. Whenever I was in the Bush administration, we went down there and met with President Vicente Fox of Mexico and asked his help in going after the cartels. And he looked at me and said, they're a problem to us as well. And so we joined together and we took down the Ariana Felix brothers leading the Tijuana cartel. And that made a difference. Ramon was shot and killed and Ben Amin was captured. Cooperation makes a difference. We cannot be successful going against the cartel unless we bring in Mexico as a partner. We have to use economic pressure to accomplish that. President Obrador has not been helpful, and we have to use economic pressure that this administration is not using. The rule of law has to matter on both sides of it.
Okay.
This is critical. I've done it. We know what needs to be done. The military has to be limited in its use. When after 9/11, we had the global war on terror, and guess what? We protected the border at the same time. You can do both.
Okay, let's go to Governor DeSantis. So, as president, would you support sending U.S. Special Forces over the border into Mexico to take out fentanyl labs, to take out drug cartel operations? Would you support that kind of American military use?
Yes, and I will do it on day one. Here's the thing. The cartels are killing tens of thousands of our fellow citizens. You want to talk about a country in decline? You have the cartels controlling a lot of part of your southern border. We have to reestablish the rule of law, and we have to defend our people. The President of the United States has got to use all available powers as Commander-in-Chief to protect our country and to protect the people. So when they're coming across, yes, we're going to use lethal force. Yes, we reserve the right to operate. How many more tens of thousands are we going to let to die? I am sick. I've met angel moms throughout this country. I met a lady in Texas named Tracy, and her son took one Percocet that was laced with fentanyl, immediately died. That is happening all across this country because of the poison that they are bringing in. So as president, would I use force? Would I treat them as foreign terrorist organizations? You're darn right I would.
You know, Vice President Pence, why would you be better at this issue than Governor DeSantis? Governor DeSantis on the campaign trail refers to your administration as not finishing the wall.
Right.
Oh, man.
Look.
Here we go. We're going to be drinking.
We secured the southern border.
All right.
Yep,
there we go. Drink.
There you go,
and
drink.
reduced illegal immigration and asylum abuse by 90%. When Joe Biden took over, he threw open the southern border of the United States, and the wave of humanity, the wave of fentanyl that's been eloquently described here is a wave of human tragedy across this country. But Martha, you began this evening talking about who is best prepared to be the next president of the United States. And I have to tell you, with all humility, I was there when we negotiated through the government shutdown and got the funding available to build the wall. I was negotiating on Capitol Hill around the clock. I negotiated the Remain in Mexico policy on behalf of the President of the United States. And AC, you're so
That's
right.
the thing. He doesn't even know.
Because we used economic
With all
pressure
humility, he
to
doesn't
bring
know.
the Mexicans to the table, and they allowed us to have people wait in Mexico
true?
while they
Prince died
applied
7
for
years
asylum
ago?
and ended
What'd you
asylum
say?
abuse
Brad
overnight.
Ganser, Prince
We got
died
the
7 years ago.
Mexicans to deploy their National Guard to their southern border
7 years ago
and
today?
to our southern border as never
laptop died.
before. And I want to promise you, as President of the United States of America, I will engage Mexico the exact same way, and we will partner with the Mexican military, and we will hunt down and destroy the cartels that are claiming lives in the United States of
Okay,
America.
thank you. Another issue that is related to this is that almost 7 million migrants have crossed this border, our southern border, during the Biden administration. So, Governor Christie, what would you do about the 7 million who are here? How would you handle them? What would you do?
Look, Martha, the first thing we need to do is to stop any more from coming. That's the first thing we need to do. Then the next thing we need to do with the folks that are here is to, again, as we've talked about all night tonight, we have to have law and order in this country. We have to enforce the law. And what that means is to make sure that people who come here illegally are not rewarded for being here illegally. We have so many wonderful people from around the world who are waiting in line, following the law to try to come here and pursue the American dream. And those people are waiting and waiting and waiting because we haven't dealt with the problem of the folks who are here. We have to have them detained. We have to make sure that they are not rewarded for having broken the law. And one last thing on this fentanyl issue. With China, we can't take our eye off of that ball.
Right.
Yes, it's important that we secure the border. Very important, as I just said. But China is sending these chemicals to these drug cartels for them to create the fentanyl that is killing hundreds of thousands of our citizens. The Chinese are engaging in an act of war against us, killing our citizens. We better make that priority one in our conversations with China and to try to straighten that relationship out, because if we don't, we're going to lose more and more of our citizens.
I just want to clarify. Would you send those people back?
3 people
Of
clap.
course. You'd have to.
We have a lot of issues that Americans care about. Next up, we're going to talk about the crisis in education.
I gotta admit,
as
I got a little
millions
bored
of
towards the
American
end.
children
That was
are
a
not
long
proficient.
segment there.
Yeah, and you're coming off that high, like where they're going after each other. There's so
Yeah.
much to cover. Jesse, you got to get into this. a
Well, I
little
mean, the first thing that they did was, Chris Christie, Mike Pence, and Asa Hutchinson. Like I said on the show last time, which was just yesterday, I pointed out, these people don't support Trump if Trump is the nominee. And they just admitted it there. And, if that's the debate criteria, why are they allowed on stage? Why is Perry Johnson and Larry Elder
because
not on
there's
there?
a pledge, right? So there's
Yeah,
a pledge that
there's
says
the
you
Beat Biden pledge,
to
which
get on
means-
the stage. You got to sign a pledge, and
Yep.
they're basically saying they're not going to abide by that pledge.
Well, it's
Right,
just
exactly.
proving they're liars. That's
Oh
literally
yeah,
what it
no, I
is.
mean they're
Shocker.
liars, 100%.
Politicians
But
lying.
but why would the RNC allow them to sign that pledge and allow them to be on stage if everybody already knew that they weren't going to support them?
Right.
I think Tim Scott is maybe doing the worst though. Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, she's got a little bit of fire, but it's all for the wrong reasons. When you look at the discussion of what was happening on Ukraine there, Vivek, Vivek is killing it right now. He's a standout.
Okay, this is
the
upsetting
whole,
me. Yeah.
testing
Yeah,
the
very good.
Oh yeah, that was a perfect move because that's what DeSantis was doing. But I'll admit DeSantis is doing better than I would have guessed.
Yeah, but I think DeSantis is coming down a little bit. I mean, the big loser night, Tim Scott, just come across as a politician.
Yeah, he's better at rallies than he is
Ada's
debates.
doing nothing. It's
Jake, please go on a rant. I gotta pee.
yeah. I will definitely go on a rant.
I kind of got to do too.
Well, you guys just
You
get
got to
up and
pee or
We
you
can
got to
do it.
rant?
Here's the problem. Well, just go pee then, all right? Jeez. Bathroom breaks here. My problem is this Ukrainian issue. And I love the fact you guys are on board with me on this issue.
If you happen to be grabbing a beer, would you grab me one too?
Sure. Oh,
All
yeah,
right.
by the way, before I forget, Howenstein?
Tucker. You were on to something.
Very good. Yeah, I gotta admit, I don't think I've ever had it. New Ulm, not known for Howenstein, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Shells, probably better than Shells. I think I like it better than Shells. So
What
awesome
really
job.
what really surprised me is how Nikki hasn't been passionate about anything except for Ukraine. She was like yelling. She was like
and Israel,
stern yelling at her husband about Ukraine and Israel.
But this bugs the shit
Not
out of
America.
Me. This bugs the shit out of me. And you can hear in the audience. This is the thing. This is where, and you know, sure, I've been a Republican delegate and stuff like that over the years, but 2012, 2008 kind of opened my mind to how it's just a uniparty, and when it comes to foreign policies, it's a uniparty. The idea that, I don't know what it's like for you guys. I got a family of 5, right? Okay, 3 little kids. I feel inflation. I got to write that check. I got to pay quarterly payments to the IRS. I write that damn check, and then I know that it's going over to fund some freaking foreign war in Ukraine, a corrupt government. I feel bad. All of us feel bad for any of these people that have their houses being bombed. Obviously, Vladimir Putin's a terrible guy. But the idea that I'm paying for this bullshit, you want to talk about the atrocities in Ukraine? I get it. What about the atrocities all over the planet? Still this day. And Afghanistan's a great example, right? Should we just be in Afghanistan for another 40 years too? How about North Korea? The issue here is you're taking money from me. Actually, it's worse. You're not even really taking money from me. What you're doing is you're printing money, devaluing the dollar, so the purchasing power of my savings is far less. You're eroding away the future of our children for some foreign entanglement with a nuclear power who's getting pushed to China. This is nonsense. This is stupid. And Vivek is the only guy with common sense on that stage. The only guy willing to bring it up. And I can't stand, honestly, foreign politics really bugs the shit out of me. It's a uniparty.
Thank you, sir.
We're back. I'm done with my rant.
Who paid for that rant, Jake?
No one paid for that rant. That's just how I feel.
It's unpaid. It's unpaid
I paid
as
for
of
that
now.
rant. Thank
there you go.
Absenteeism, deep declines for reading and math for 15-year-olds and 13-year-olds. Governor DeSantis, you would eliminate, you said, the Department of Education. But as president, would you still have a responsibility to fix this crisis as we see it?
Absolutely. The decline in education is one of the major reasons why our country is in decline. We need education in this country, not indoctrination in this country. And in
that was going to be your drinking game, wasn't it?
Florida, we stood up for what
education,
was
not indoctrination.
Oh, yeah.
COVID, and a lot of the
Yeah, I'll
problems that
take
we've
it.
seen are because these lockdown states lock their kids out of school for a year, year and a half. That was wrong. We stood up. I took a lot of fire for that. I was pilloried by the media, but I stood for our kids. And as president, I'll stand for you and your kids as well. But we have to make sure that what our schools are doing is focusing on solid academics.
Thanks,
In
Tucker.
Florida,
That's nice of
we
you.
eliminated critical race theory from our K through 12 schools. We eliminated gender ideology from our K through 12 schools. And we have elevated the importance of American civics in teaching our kids about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. As president, I'm going to lead an effort to increase civic understanding and knowledge of our Constitution. We cannot be graduating students that don't have any foundation in what it means to be an American.
Mr. Ramaswamy, Mr. Ramaswamy, hold on, Senator Scott. You've said that the Department of Education, the FBI, the ATF, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the IRS, the Department of Commerce, many of these should not exist.
Yeah. That's correct.
So, to the education question, how would you deal with the crisis?
So look, we have a crisis of achievement. Let's shut down the head of the snake, the Department of Education. Take that $80 billion, put it in the hands of parents across this country. This is the civil rights issue of our time. Allow any parent to choose where they send their kids to school. End the teachers' unions at the local level to allow public schools to compete. And then revive our national identity where every high school senior should have to pass the same civics test that, frankly, every immigrant, including my mother, had to pass in order to become a citizen of this country. And the fact of the matter is, look, there's a part of education policy that also rests with the family. I didn't grow up in money, but you know the word privilege gets used a lot? Well, you know what? I did have the ultimate privilege of 2 parents in the house with a focus on educational achievement. And I want every kid to enjoy that. So part of the problem is we also have a federal government that pays single women more not to have a man in the house than to have a man in the house, contributing to an epidemic of fatherlessness. And I think that goes hand in glove with the education
Stealing
crisis
Larry
as well,
Elder's
because we have to
thunder.
remember, Education starts with the family, and the nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to mankind.
Real quick, Tucker, thank you for the Rumble rant.
Governor Haley has said that biological boys playing in girls' sports is the women's issue of our time. You said that even though you signed a ban on this in North Dakota, that there hadn't been one instance where it was actually needed. Are you saying that you think that too much is made of this issue?
No, I'm saying in North Dakota, we made a priority of protecting women's sports, and we've done that in our state. But I would absolutely do that. But I do think when we start talking about education and we think that we're going to have a federal government one size fits all, we're just completely losing track of the fact that education differs by states. Some school districts are doing a fantastic job, some less so. But the idea that every school district, state, and every teacher is somehow indoctrinating people is just false. You know, when I was building a company from scratch, you know, with small town kids, and we went, you know, grew up in a town of 300, but we built a global company in 132 countries with over 100,000 customers. We listened to those customers. We spent time with them. We talked to them. We did that. And as governor, well, education is one of the biggest part of the state.
This is
budget. So
candidate
as a
Tim
governor,
Walz
I
endorsed, by the way.
Bill Gates Berger.
The student finds out, I'm going to go to every class with them. I don't sit and lecture school districts how to do it. I go and see the experience. And there's a lot of things that have to change. But what needs to change in education is it's innovation. We're doing it the same way we did it 50 years ago with innovation, not regulation. I would get rid of the Department of Education. I would give block grants to schools, but I'd give them on merit based on who's doing the most innovative. I just got done holding the 7th annual Governor's Conference on Innovation Education. You should see what the people are doing when you cut loose the red tape, get the burden off their back. They care. Teachers in this country, the vast majority of them care about those kids. They're working in low-paying jobs, and they're fighting for those kids and their families.
Governor Haley, you said that this is the women's issue of our time.
First, I'll tell you, as you know, as a parent, the one thing you want is for your child to have a better life than you did. And we can talk about all of these things, and there's a lot of crazy woke things happening in schools, but we've got to get these kids reading. If a child can't read by 3rd grade, they're 4 times less likely to graduate high school. So we need to make sure we bring in reading remediation all over this country. We need transparency in the classroom because parents should never have to wonder what's being said or taught to their children in the classroom. Parents need to be deciding which schools their kids go to because they know best. And let's put vocational classes back into the high schools. Let's teach our kids to build things
You know,
again.
I don't like this segment because they're all going to say the
We
same damn
allow that
thing.
innovation. That's
Yeah.
when it'll get back. And yes, I will always say I'm going to fight for girls all day long because strong girls become strong women become strong leaders, and biological boys don't belong in the locker rooms of any of our girls.
We're going to start the lightning round. And
Lightning round.
Lightning, yeah, here we go.
Got to have the lightning
so this
round.
Is a lightning round of questions.
What would we do without the lightning round? Got to have the lightning round.
President Biden will be 82 years old on Inauguration Day. Nearly 70% of Americans say that he is too old to serve. Should presidents have to pass a mental and physical test in order to serve Vice President Pence?
Well, it might be a good idea to have everybody in Washington, D.C. pass a mental and... But, 30 seconds, no. The American people can make those judgments. But let me say, I'm running for president of the United States because we don't need a president who's too old. And we don't need a president who's too young. We need a president who's been there. We need a president who knows how Congress works, how the White House works, how states work. And on this education issue, Martha, I was fighting against No Child Left Behind when Republicans were doubling the Department of Education. I'll also shut down the federal Department of Education. And when I was governor, we doubled the size.
Go ahead,
of the
interrupt
largest
him.
school
What do you
choice
guys say?
program
Razzle
in
Dazzles
America.
gave us a $5 Rumble rant. Says drink for the words deep state,
Technicality.
establishment, rhinos, and swamp, and Trump.
Technicality, though, $5 is not enough to establish a rule. It's got to be $10.
You want a civics test or public service for those under 25 to be able to
Technicality.
vote. So the question is, do you want a mental acuity test for presidents over 75?
I believe in the people of this country to tell the difference between somebody who's an automaton and somebody who's actually a thinking agent in the White House, which we don't have in there today. And I will tell you, I want to address Vice President Pence's comment.
I don't think that I trust
I think we
Americans to
do
do
need
that.
somebody of a different generation to lead this nation forward. Look Look at the way I've run this campaign. Go into the south side of Chicago, to Kensington, in the middle of Philadelphia, where traditional Republican candidates don't go. We have an opportunity to build a multi-ethnic, working-class majority to deliver a landslide, and I think I'm the only candidate in this race, young or old, black or white, to bring all of those voters along to deliver a Reagan 1980 revolution. We're going to do it in 2024.
Same question to you, Governor.
In a presidential election until 2020.
I will answer that.
So what?
30 seconds.
Honestly, so what?
You guys need to get control of this debate.
Everybody's going to get a chance.
have to get
Listen, we're
control of
getting
this
Fair
control
point,
of the
Aaron.
debate. This is a lightning round, not rolling thunder. Governor Hutchinson, you have 30 seconds on the same question.
On education, first of all, look at Arkansas. We have to compete with China. I built computer science education. We led the nation in computer science education, going from 1,100 students to
All right,
23,000
hey, just turn it down right now real quick
This is
because no one cares about Ada. So we've got a official rule drink for the words deep state, establishment, rhinos, and swamp, or and Trump MAGA. That's a big rule. That's like saying the rule is for the and but. I mean, come on, that's not all right.
William,
fair
say
enough.
something.
Brad Ganser supported it.
Say something. Where's your microphone?
Is your microphone off?
Is your microphone off?
Did the battery die on your microphone? I think the battery died on his microphone.
No,
No one even noticed.
Come over here.
No one even noticed.
Have you guys not
Whoops.
been hearing me this
What?
whole time?
I can hear you right now, actually.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think his
It-
mic's working.
It has not been long, no.
I
Oh, wait, it's back on.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
you
was gonna
sound
say,
on.
I was hearing it.
Cool. Come here anyways.
Yeah.
Behavior we want others to follow.
Oh, but it's red.
On education. The only way we change education in this nation is to break the backs of the teachers' unions. They are standing in the doorhouse of our kids, locking them into failing schools and locking them out of the greatest future they could have.
Vivek got exposed by Bill Maher. I gotta watch that. I
President
don't know about
DeSantis,
that.
Would you support some
I'm
mandatory
watching
military
I
service
watched
for
the
all
interview. We can get
Okay,
into
hold that
that.
thought.
Should be
We're gonna
voluntary. I'm
address that.
somebody that volunteered to serve, inspired
like
by
Bad
September
Hat Harry
11th,
just joined.
and
Welcome.
I deployed to Iraq alongside U.S. Navy SEAls.
Oh,
in places
twice
like
now.
Fallujah,
Twice
Ramadi,
now.
and
That's
it's, something
I don't
that
like what he's
think
doing
has
there.
Taught me, you know, when
I
you
don't
go
like
in
that.
that type
Yeah.
of environment,
That's kind of
anything you
sneaky what he's
have,
doing
your
there.
personal agenda, you check it at the door. You go there, and it's about focusing on the mission above
This
all
is
else.
this is what's
And guys
really
come together
sneaky
and
about
they
it.
get done.
He's a
And
JAG
that's
officer.
how
I'm not saying his service isn't
President of the
great,
United
but he's
States.
sneaking
It's not
in
about
by
money. It's not
Navy
about all
SEAls.
these
It's
other
like
side issues.
it's not
Yeah.
like you were knocking down doors.
It's not the
here.
same.
Yeah.
Your future and
That's
reversing
kind of
this
sneaky.
country's
Yeah.
As a veteran, I'm not.
Now for
I don't like what he's
something
doing there.
A little out of this world, and this is for you, Governor Christie. Do you
All he
believe
did
that
was
the
work at
recent
Guantanamo
spike
Bay
in UFO encounters
and torture
Oh
people.
God, UFO question now. Here we go.
UFO question?
Yeah, you do. Come on, man. No, but
Come on, man.
okay, we've been hearing a lot of testimony in Congress.
Deep
and
State's
people are
trying to
taking
trick
this a lot
us.
more seriously, and we're
Psyop
hearing that,
here.
you know, there are things going on that people aren't aware of.
We're
So,
such a serious
if you
country.
were
Look at us.
president,
Look how
Governor
serious we are.
Christie, would you level with the American people about what the government knows about these possible
Look,
encounters?
Martha, and especially coming from a woman from New Jersey, I think it's horrible that just because I'm from New Jersey, you asked me about unidentified flying objects and Martians. We're different, but we're not that different. Look,
This is so
of course,
goofy.
the
Why?
job of the
This
President of the United
corny.
States is to level with the
Is this
American people
boomer
about
humor?
everything.
Is that what this is, Dawson?
Well, he's
The
not.
job
Go-
of the
he's not going to
President of the
answer the
United
question.
States is to
He's
stand
going to answer whatever he wants.
Right.
The job of the President of the United States is to be a role model for our children
She asked about
and our
aliens.
grandchildren.
That's
And so
not
whether
true.
It was UFOs or this problem of education, and Tim's right, by the way. And I started
Well,
this
Brad,
in 2010
I see what you're
by
saying with
going
Ventura,
right after
but
the
I think
teachers' unions in
Ventura
New
can
Jersey
say he's a
and
SEAL.
drove them down to an all-time low popularity rating because they were putting themselves
Different.
before our kids. That is the biggest threat to our country, not UFOs.
He's like he's saying like Ventura when he was saying he was a SEAL. Okay.
Oh.
Let's address that real quick. So Ventura was part of what became the Navy SEALs. So I think it's fair for Ventura to say that and respected, you know, in the community because, you know, I can't think of what they were called before the Navy SEAls, but that was the progression, right?
Yeah.
But it's a different thing when the sanctimonious is saying it because he said it twice now, and I see the sleight of hand. He's acting as if he's got like some courageous position in the military, and I'm not trying to shit on his time in the military, right? Okay, like he was a JAG officer. It is what it is. But you're kind of like sliding in there, like, oh yeah, I was in bed with the Navy SEAls. It's like you weren't knocking down doors, right? You might have been giving them like rules of engagement.
You said he was in bed with Navy SEAls?
Embedded. Easy. Easy there.
That's
I know
my
it's
bad.
late.
That's
It's late
my-
for our show, right? It's almost 10 o'clock. It's crazy.
I'm a little drunk off of that Coke I drank. This one's
Yeah.
got actual sugar in it.
All right. Jesse, we needed you to talk about something
Yeah,
here.
I'm interested what you thought. It was Skooma Legend that had said something about Vivek and Bill Maher.
That's it, yes.
And
What did you find out about
that? It was an interesting interview. I'm curious what you thought was the big thing that you thought, Bill Maher put him in his place for, because I thought generally that Vivek did it pretty well, but Bill Maher also told him a couple of times, like, don't rap. you look basically like it's a who is the Howard Dean? He was saying it's a Howard Dean moment.
Yeah.
But I can't remember exactly what it was that I did watch the interview between them. But yeah, it'd be interesting if Skooma Legend has a specific thing that he thought Vivek got owned on during that interview. But
my thoughts on Vivek. Obviously, Vivek is the guy I'm liking the most in this debate.
Right.
I think of it in many regards like Neil Shaw, okay, who's running for governor here in Minnesota.
Yeah,
and I don't mean that just because they're both Indian, okay? Got it? Neil would actually think that's fine.
No, but
it's
there's similarities in the way they
there are.
present, the way they talk,
well, because
their education.
a lot of people in their culture, did put an emphasis on education. They became very smart. And Neil didn't seem to connect with some delegates, which is why he did not win the endorsement. And I thought it was because they didn't think of him as being authentic. Now, I know Neil Shaw. I'm like, that guy's really authentic, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's just really smart. So I'm kind of like, is that part of what's going on with Vivek? Like a wicked smart guy, very productive, very successful.
Mm-hmm.
He's being coached. He's obviously got advisors. You got to say this. These are talking points. And then it's kind of coming across as fake. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's the case.
It's
but
interesting.
at least he took their courageous stance on the Ukraine, because you hear the audience. There's a big diversion. in the
I do
audience.
think that Vivek he's leaning further to the right than he probably actually is. He's trying to win the primary. He's trying to, position himself number 2 behind Trump. So he's definitely playing a game. You can't run for president and not play the game. So he's playing the game. He's trying to win over these voters. I think it's more genuine than not. And I agree with you. When I look at the 8 candidates that are up there, I agree most with Vivek. And I'm basically on the same page. One of the discussions that was going on there was about age. I don't necessarily agree that it has to be a young person. It doesn't have to be an old person. It doesn't have to be, like Mike Pence said, he's in the middle. Mike Pence said, kind of like what's that nursery rhyme? The little bear, the mama bear, the papa bear. You guys know what I'm talking about. That just right is in the middle.
Goldilocks.
Goldilocks.
No,
yeah,
come on,
Goldilocks.
I was trying to.
Do you know why I know that?
Yes, I know. I was trying to put him.
Do you know why I know that?
Why? Why do you know?
My ancestors, Brothers Grimm. That's kind of
what
interesting. But on Vivek, one thing he was a little bit, he might be the most anti-Israel candidate on that stage, but he sounds a little pro-Israel for me. But to be honest, that's what you're going to find in basically any Republican primary. But
or Democrat primary too, in many
oh
regards,
yeah,
right?
oh yeah, 100%. And it's. I'll be honest. Based on the way that things have gone so far, I think that Asa Hutchinson and Tim Scott are the real losers so far. Chris Christie, he's having like a C tier, mid tier performance. He's not doing. This isn't the Chris Christie of 2016. Chris Christie is not. He doesn't have the same level of energy. He's using recycled attacks.
He is. I think that's a great point. We're coming back to this debate. He is using recycled attacks.
But Doug Burgum, despite him being a complete rhino, he's doing better than I expected.
I 100% agree with you. I think Doug Burgum is.
He's in the middle right now.
People
which
are
is
probably
crazy.
like, I don't know who this guy is. Sounds okay.
Yeah. Better than Nikki Haley.
Funded by Bill Gates, $100,000 to Bill Gates, his reelection in North Dakota.
Right. Someone
That's all
needs
you
to
need
call
to
him
know.
out.
Having a good performance, but not much there.
Right.
That number has now plummeted to just 39%. In his pitch to get to the Oval Office, President Reagan called America the shining city on a hill, a beacon of hope and optimism.
So in your closing statement tonight, please tell American voters why you are the person who can inspire this nation to a better day. These are 45 seconds, and we begin with Governor Burgum.
I understand why America's hurting. Biden's inflation is choking us. I grew up in a small town. My dad died when I was a freshman in high school. My mom, widow of 3, went back to work. Every job I had growing up was one where I took a shower at the end of the day, not at the beginning of the day. Our cities are less safe because of the fentanyl pouring into this country. Our economy is being crushed by Biden's energy policies, which are raising the cost of every product you buy, not just the gasoline at the pump. One thing that I'll do as president, I'll secure the border. I'll get this economy sprinting, not crawling like it is right now. And I would say that other thing is for sure, when I'm on a horseback
He seems really
in the
nervous.
Badlands of North Dakota, it looks like the horizon is just limitless. And when you can almost see beyond that horizon, you can see that this great country, our future is unlimited. But we've got to focus on innovation, not regulation. We've got to cut the red tape. We've got to drive ourselves forward. The way we win the Cold War with China is by growing our economy and through innovation. And as president, I will bring out the best of America. I will improve every American life.
Well, I hope you're back on your horse soon, Governor.
Governor Hutchinson?
Our nation is in trouble, and it's in trouble because of failed leadership. And the solution is not 4 more years of Joseph Biden. The solution is not 4 more years of Donald Trump. The solution is new leadership that can bring bold ideas to America and to bring out the best of America. A president's #1 responsibility
we have to
is
drink.
to
He
bring
said
out
Trump.
the best of our people. That's what Ronald Reagan did. And he did it with optimism and hope for our country, with consistent conservatism. That's exactly what I bring. As president, I'll bring out the best of America in terms of individual responsibility, building our economy, in terms of securing our border, enforcing the rule of law. I'll bring out the best of America in terms of our national character, our faith, and our hope for the future. Join in this fight, asa2024.com.
Thank you. Senator Scott.
No one's going there. No one's going there.
Thank you. I was a disillusioned young man growing up in a single-parent household, mired in poverty. I wondered if the American dream was real for a kid like me. I can stand before you today and say the dream is alive, it is well, and it is healthy. I had the good fortune of a mom who worked 16-hour days, making sure we have food on our tables. She taught me that if you're able-bodied in America, you work. If you take out a loan, you pay it back. If you commit a violent crime, you go to jail. And if God made you a man, you play sports against men. I'm Tim Scott. I'm asking you for your vote, and if you're in Iowa, I'm asking you to caucus for me. You can go to votetimscott.com
No one's going there.
for more information or to make a contribution.
No one's going there.
Governor Christie.
That was his best line of the night,
Thank you,
though.
Martha.
No one's
Look,
going there.
everybody on this stage wants to be the next president of the United States. And the only way that's going to happen is if we beat Joe Biden. I'm the only one on this stage who's ever beaten a Democratic incumbent in an election. I did it in a deep blue state, being outspent 3-1. Beating a Democratic incumbent is not easy. The last Democratic incumbent president who was defeated was Jimmy Carter. And he was defeated by a conservative governor from a blue state who knew how to get results, who stood for the truth, who cared about accountability, and stood strong and hard against waste. Those are the very things that I did in my 8 years as governor of New Jersey, and it's exactly what I'll do as president of the United States. Believe me, the Democrats want some other nominee who's never beaten the Democratic incumbent. I'm the one who can win this race, and if you give me the chance, I will restore our country by winning it.
Thank you. Governor Haley.
Several weeks ago, I dropped my husband, Michael, a combat veteran from Afghanistan, off at 4 a.m. for another year-long deployment. I watched him and 230 soldiers pick up their 2 duffel bags of belongings to go to a country they had never been, all in the name of protecting America. If they are willing
I'm
to
sure that's what it's
protect
about.
us from there,
I'm
we
just
should
saying.
be willing
I'm
to
sure
fight
that's what
for
it's about.
America here. I will beat Joe Biden, and he knows that. I will strengthen our economy, and we'll bring this inflation down. We will put transparency in the classroom. We will secure our borders. We will have the backs of our law enforcement, and we will make sure we have a strong national security. And once again, we will make sure we have an America that is strong and proud. We have a country to save. Join us. Go
Let me clarify. That's why I didn't want to stay in the military longer, because it's like it's not America's interest. You're not defending America.
Yeah.
It's foreign entanglement.
I was
That's the
thinking your
problem.
husband just wants to get away from her. I think that's why he's going on deployment.
That was
It's an
low.
honor to be here. Joe Biden has weakened America at home and abroad. The disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, their war on energy, runaway spending that launched the worst inflation in 40 years, a crisis at our southern border, an assault on our values and liberties, and the American people have had enough. But I know we can bring it back. But different times call for different leadership. The Republican Party owes the American people a choice. Proven leadership at the national level that knows how to move a conservative agenda forward. We proved in the Trump-Pence years you can turn this country around faster than you can imagine. And I have faith we will again.
Got a
Because
drink.
I
Got
have faith in the American people.
A good, decent, hard-working, faith-filled, idealistic people of this country. And I have faith that God is not done with America yet. And if we will renew our faith in one another and renew our faith in Him who has ever guided this nation since we arrived on these wilderness shores, I know the best days for the greatest nation on earth are yet to come.
Thank you. Mr. Ramaswamy.
I was born in 1985, and I grew up into a generation where we were taught to celebrate our diversity and our differences so much that we forgot all of the ways we are really just the same as Americans, bound by a common set of ideals that set this nation into motion in 1776. And this is our moment to revive those common ideals. God is real. There are 2 genders. Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity. Reverse racism is racism. An open border is not a border. Parents determine the education of their children. The nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to man. Capitalism lifts us up from poverty. There are 3 branches of government, not 4. And the U.S. Constitution, it is the strongest guarantor of freedom in human history. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what will win us the revolution of 2024. Thanks for letting me introduce myself tonight. Thank you.
Governor DeSantis.
That cheesy smile.
Say something.
That's
This
so
is our
fake.
time
What
for
was that?
choosing. We will send Joe Biden back to his basement,
was
and we
weird.
will reverse the decline of this country. I'm a blue-collar kid. I work minimum wage
That was
jobs
really
to be
weird.
able to make ends meet. I understand the
wasted
importance
5
of the
seconds
American
doing that.
dream,
What was
and I
that?
know how that
I-
slipped away from so
He
many
froze
millions
for a
of
sec. You had to
Americans.
reboot,
Well,
I
really
think.
weird.
I'm a veteran who served in Iraq.
Pulling
I
a
know
Mitch
what it
McConnell.
means
Next to the
put
Navy
service
SEALs.
above self. I'm also a
Yeah.
dad and a husband to 6'5" and 3-year-old. I understand the importance of protecting parents' rights and the well-being of our children. In Florida, we showed it could be done. I made promises and I delivered on all of those promises. 2024 is make or break. We're not getting a mulligan, no excuses. I will get the job done, and as your president, I will not let you down. God bless you all.
That was really weird.
That was not. That didn't hit.
On the stage tonight, and thank you to Milwaukee.
Thank you.
The reason that was so
everybody. We will
weird
see
is
you on
that
the
he's
campaign
smiling, and then it's like it took him a while. He's like, okay, now I got to be mad, right? I got to
Yeah.
be passionate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, what a weird ending.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I saw Tucker in the comments there. He was saying Laura Loomer is, suggesting that DeSantis might be autistic. I don't know. He kind of comes
lot of
off
people
that way
say.
sometimes. I don't know.
I can't take Laura
Let's
Loomer
do-
seriously.
Yeah, let's do like
Oh, come on. Laura Loomer, obviously she's got
she's
a bent
crazy.
for Trump. But that doesn't mean that she's not exposing some truth.
let's do like 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll sign off. We got a state fair to do tomorrow, but I wanted to see in the comment section who you guys thought won. Okay, See, Brad Ganser thought it was a Vivek win. Vivek? How do you say it? Vivek? Vivek?
Well, I think Trump won. I mean, Trump didn't have to be there. Trump was 100% right that he didn't have to be there. I think the debate kind of happened exactly as I expected it to happen. I figured that Christie and Vivek would be going at it. I figured that DeSantis wasn't going to be going at Vivek or anybody. I figured that DeSantis was just trying to maintain the idea, just the notion of what he wants us to think he is. So I think that he successfully did that at least for one more debate. But I would say Vivek, of the participants that were there, I'd say Vivek did he did the best job.
But from your unbiased opinion, it was Trump that won.
Trump won. Okay. I mean, Trump didn't have to be there, and I can't wait to watch the interview between him and Tucker Carlson because how can, obviously it doesn't make any sense for him to have been in that debate. And Chris Christie, everybody was saying, watch out for Chris Christie. This guy's going to drop the hammer. When was it?
That too.
Where was the hammer? There was
we all
no
thought
hammer.
that though, right?
Huh?
Because you were saying that too.
Bad Ed Harry.
You never know. I always kind of thought, does he have the same energy? Is he going to be able to land these things? And like I was saying in the beginning here, he's doing the exact same attacks they did on Marco Rubio against Vivek.
That's very
It doesn't work. He said, "Oh, it's just another Obama." Well, and then Vivek came back at him with, "Well, you loved Obama too. You gave him a big hug."
Yeah, when he came into town, Bad Ed Harry Vivek, Frosty Girl Vivek, Brad Ganser. Trump wasn't on stage. Coward.
Mm-hmm.
Billy
22 says
tomorrow.
Trump.
He's busy.
Skooma legend, Trump all day.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like Vivek and... So let's just go through the list here. We got Doug Burgum. I think we talked about that. Doug Burgum, at this point, for people that don't know, that he's fully funded by Bill Gates. Pamela says Vivek. Former Representative Eric Mortensen Vivek. That means something to you. Mort, who will be on a show tomorrow. Catch us live. We'll probably be covering Trump actually being arrested. Sounds
you
really
guys should
funny saying that, right? It's crazy.
It's sad that we're not going to be there. We're going to be at the
You're going to be at
State
State Fair, but we're going to be bringing you guys in live at the State Fair.
And you guys should analyze the Trump Tucker video that was released tonight.
Yes, great point. Debalu says Vivek on there. So Burgum did a good job. People just don't know this guy fully funded. And a Rhino too, by the way. He got a primary challenger from Dr. I can't think of the name. Who was the guy that challenged him in North Dakota? It was a doctor.
No, you're thinking of Senate, but you're thinking of Rick Becker.
Yeah.
Rick Becker. That's
he
what I'm
ran for
thinking.
U.S. Senate, not for governor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but no, Rick Becker. He's basically
right.
You're right. Rick Becker he's the liberty conservative voice of North Dakota, and Doug Burgum obviously he's in a way different camp. But I was surprised by his performance. I thought Doug Burgum did way better than expected, and he's not on any kind of pain medication after the Achilles tear, which obviously is a little bit impressive because if he's willing to not take any pain medication because he doesn't want
for Achilles tear, I've torn my Achilles. Just be a man.
That's true.
You don't need pain pills for that.
Yeah, but regardless, I'm sure that was obviously on his mind as he was debating.
What's that?
He tore his Achilles, but which president was it that got freaking shot and just kept going?
Oh, that was Teddy Roosevelt.
I always go. The
Teddy.
peak bad.
Teddy Roosevelt. I mean, modern day progressive in many ways.
Right.
Badass dude.
Well, and
here's the thing I always think about: presidents used to travel and camp, and he went and camped in Yosemite for weeks. How badass is that? Trump should bring that back when he's president again. Doug Burgum. Okay, so we learned that. Chris Christie, loser tonight, right?
Yeah,
audience turned on him.
That was so funny.
I mean, honestly, we know what his strategy was. We know what he was trying to get at. He didn't hit the notes that he was trying to hit. He didn't look great. He didn't look as bad as maybe an Asa Hutchinson, but I think Chris Christie did not have the performance that everybody was expecting. Everybody was expecting him to come in there and do something big, and it never happened.
I mean, he pushed. He definitely pushed. I would say
here and there, but
and Nikki Haley pushed too a lot too. So what's that?
He gave up towards the end. Well, Nikki Haley didn't.
Yeah, Chris
push.
Christie got quiet at the end there.
Yeah, he did.
It's just so interesting how the dynamics, and that's partly because Mike Pence was trying to push, and isn't that cute when Mike Pence tries being assertive?
Yeah.
And by the way, I didn't know Mike Pence read the Bible. That was news to me. So
Wait, what?
interesting.
I'll never attack.
The pandering. I know, but the pandering.
No,
I just I can't stand the pandering.
I
Okay, you read the Bible.
I don't think it's pandering in his case.
It's
like
pandering.
we can make fun of Mike Pence for a million things. I'll never make fun of him for his faith. I think he is serious. In that
I'm not
regard.
making fun of him for the faith. I'm making fun of him for the pandering.
I
don't
can't
think
take
it's
anything he
pandering.
says seriously. You know, he was sitting there saying he's a constitutionalist.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to believe him that he's a constitutionalist too? Are we taking him at his word for everything?
Right.
No way. I'm not taking him at his word for anything. You know, we can't trust Mike Pence. You know, he's sitting there, and that was one thing that really I didn't like because Chris Christie said multiple times. He said that Trump wants to suspend the Constitution. Trump never said that. Trump was basically just saying that we live in a country where the Constitution isn't respected. How do we deal with a system like that? That was what, you know, Trump was saying. Chris Christie wants to, you know, flip the words around. And Vivek was, you know, 100% right on to say, you know, you're the one who's running out of vengeance. You're the one who's running out of anger.
That was great.
You know, because that's exactly what Chris Christie's whole campaign is. Chris Christie is, you know, just trying to shapeshift into whatever he thinks that, you know, either people want to hear or what he thinks will get him a CNN or MSNBC job. Because, you know, Chris Christie, he supported Trump in 2016, one of the first people to endorse him.
Mm-hmm.
He supported him in 2020. He wanted to be his VP. He wanted to be his attorney general. And now Chris Christie has a problem? I don't believe it. Chris Christie just wants to climb up the ladder and make even more money.
Well, his mind changed on January 6th, of
Yeah.
course, don't you know?
I guess so.
So Mike Pence, no movement, right? Literally,
That was
no
terrible.
movement.
Yeah,
in
he
this-
did terrible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did what we thought he was going to do. So I see no movement there.
Yeah.
Big loser night, Tim Scott, in my opinion. What do you
Yeah.
guys think?
I think Tim Scott, too, because, you know, I expected better from him. I thought that he was at least going to get maybe a moment or two where it's kind of like, oh, I see what he's saying there. But, you know, honestly, like I was saying, Doug Burgum did better than him.
Right.
And so if Doug Burgum's outperforming you in a debate, you know you're toast. And
Yeah, but Burgum at least comes from the private sector. That's the thing. Is like Tim Scott just leans into, I'm a politician. I'm a DC insider.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And he looked nervous. He didn't look like he was ready for that. He didn't look like he was ready for the moment.
Yeah.
I think Burgum looked kind of nervous. At least his ending was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like you could hear it in his voice. He was a little bit uncomfortable.
Let's see here. So Hutchinson, we'll just dispel that.
Yeah.
Hutchinson
Not even
non-factor.
worth the breath.
Yeah, I mean, really, what is he doing on stage? Give me Perry Johnson any day over that guy.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about DeSantis, DeSanctimonious, as Trump likes to call him.
He had a handful of good moments, but like not as good as I kind of thought he would be.
He had to be
like
good.
he had to be good. and he
I
was-
think he's also the big loser tonight because what you're saying is he had to do well.
Mm-hmm.
He is
Yeah.
kind of slipping.
Yeah, no, I think he did better than I expected, like I said. But, you know, he had some fumbles there, too. And, you know, he gives that awkward just...
Weird. No, but it was a smile.
You know,
no,
it's
try that
exactly.
Again. I know. Try it
It's-
again though. He was smiling. He was kind of like, and then now I'm frustrated. I'm really concerned. It's like now
Yeah.
you're just Marco Rubio.
Right. Yeah, no, it was pretty weird what he was doing there. And, you know, he's trying to be robotic in a way. And also he was avoiding the question. He wasn't even answering the question in a lot of cases when they were talking about January 6th, when they were talking about Ukraine. You know, he was telling us what we wanted to hear by not getting specific. And if he's not willing to really get into the details, that means that he's probably not on our side.
Nikki Haley, last one. Nikki Haley, what are we thinking?
Neocon Nikki.
Yeah.
Neocon Nikki.
Again.
She was yelling at him. You know, I guess just because her husband's in the military, that means that she thinks that she can start wars. That means that she thinks that our country can go and die for Ukraine. Hell no. And, you know, the same thing with a lot of these rhinos that were up there. They were all spreading this misinformation. They were all trying to, you know, paint Russia in a certain light. And I'm not necessarily pro-Russia or anything. I'm just saying that, you know, the whole situation between Ukraine and Russia is more complex than just saying that we need to stand by our NATO allies. NATO is, you know, it's a basically corrupt group that takes advantage of the United States that I think that we need to seriously look at whether or not we need to get out.
All right, I want to hear your guys' response in the comment section here. Last question of the night. Highlight the best part of the debate. Tell me the highlight of the debate. What do you think?
Ooh, do we all get to do this? Yes.
Go ahead. I
Yeah,
wanna
what do
hear-
you think, Dawson?
So Dawson, Mr. Deep State is not really political, so let's hear what you think.
So my favorite parts of the entire presidential election is the debates. And I think that the best part of this one there were some good ones. There were some really funny. That DeSantis, like, blank stare into the camera, like, that was pretty funny. But I think that the part where Vivek started getting, like, all of the applause nearish the beginning, I can't remember when that was. I can't remember what he was talking about. But he, like, and I know that it's just politicians being a politician, but he showed off the I'm excited to do stuff for this country. I don't know exactly what he's talking about, but he seemed to be passionate about it.
I think the moment you're talking about is when they're talking about foreign policy.
I think so.
And
yeah.
like everybody on stage turned against Vivek.
Yeah.
And they were all coming at him. They're all like literally yelling at him.
Yeah.
And he was handling it cool. He was getting applause from the audience. It was great.
Yeah.
But the audience was
like him
definitely
more because of
divided
that.
on Ukraine, and that's the thing that bothers me about the Republican Party. Is
Well, that's the
think-
problem. The audience was like RNC invited people. It was either
Right.
RNC delegates, RNC committeemen, RNC committee women.
But yet you
or,
still got a lot of people supporting Trump, which is impressive, right?
You know, I guess so, because I figured that audience was going to be 100% anti-Trump.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of the campaigns, they were all getting their own specific people in there as well. So, you know, it's good to see that, you know, Trump still has some solid footing even among the establishment.
According to the Drudge poll, Ramaswamy wins 31%. Next up, Christie, 21%. Next up, Haley, 19%. Next up, DeSantis, 17%. Everyone else is just a bottom
Christie
tier.
is in second place.
What's that?
Christie is in second place.
Well, I could understand that dynamic because
That's where the
Christie-
rhinos are voting.
Yeah, so Drudge has moved far more to the establishment, moderate, middle. It's just weird. And that's what Christie's playing. He's playing that role, so that's what he's getting there.
Interesting.
What's beautiful and, you know, crazy, I still follow Drudge, is that there are a lot of people like me. They're like, I want someone new. I want the fresh new blood.
Yeah, if I was a rhino and I saw that debate and I thought, well, I got to decide
was a
between
rhino.
Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, and Chris Christie, you'd probably go with Chris Christie if you're a rhino, you know, or Tim Scott. You'd probably look at the four of them and you'd be like, well, I guess Chris Christie's going to
Right.
fight the hardest. So it makes sense for why the establishment type rhinos would choose him.
Well, and Haley's right behind him, just 2% lower, so that makes sense. They're conflict on that.
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay, so highlight of the night there, William. Tell us what you thought was the best part of the debate.
I already did the Vivek foreign policy.
Did you really say that? And I've just literally blocked that.
Or maybe I was saying it in response to Dawson. That was my highlight.
That was your highlight. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
God, you made me think the beer's getting to me.
Yeah,
By the way, that's the highlight of the night. The Howenstein beer. I honestly.
I know,
good
Tucker,
job,
you're
Tucker.
right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And non-woke. I'm hoping they're non-woke because I've gone to PBR. Highlight of the night for you, Jesse?
I'd say when Vivek was making fun of Ron DeSantis and he said that, you know, he licked his finger and said that Ron DeSantis was just testing the political winds. I think that's exactly what it was. And
that's what he was
I think that Ron. I think.
catch that?
What's that?
Dawson didn't
Sorry,
catch that.
I said that's what he was doing. I had no idea what happened when he put his finger in his mouth and
Yeah.
then did this. I was like, I was weirded out. But it was funny.
Yeah. No, I mean, for me, I think that was exactly, you know, I think Vivek was playing it cool there, and that was a moment where at least he was pushing himself against DeSantis, which was a thing he had to distinguish himself from. And the fact that he said that everybody else on this stage is sold out by special interests and I'm not, that was a big thing for Vivek too.
That was a good one too.
I would say Vivek smiled a little too much on those attacks, so it just seems like it's like, I'm not really passionate about that. So if you're going to sling those kind of comments, don't come into it with a big smile on your face. He wasn't quite Trump. Trump
No.
just dominated those debates where he was like, no, I'm serious about this. I'm going to smile. You guys are all bought and paid for. I'm the one guy self-funding.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Vivek on Ukraine. That's probably my highlight of the night.
Can I send Dawson? Can I send you a graphic real quick about the debate because I think you guys will find this interesting.
Sure.
Yeah.
Guess
I
it's,
just-
your,
for
it's your
it.
show. You tell us what to do.
I just sent it to your email.
Thanks, sir.
You've never made
Let
that
me
joke
do that.
before, Jake. That's really funny.
Well, I'm just harnessing my inner Chris Christie and recycling things.
Yeah, and you know what? One thing I thought Vivek might do, but he never did there. I can't believe that nobody, and I thought Vivek might, but he didn't. I thought, when is anybody going to call out that Perry Johnson and Larry Elder were excluded? You know, Vivek kind of stole Larry Elder's talking points on that when he was talking about fatherlessness, when he was talking about, two parents in the household, everything that he was talking about there. That's Larry Elder's shtick.
That's not Larry. Well, come on. He doesn't own that. It's not
No,
like
he doesn't
that.
own it, but, that's what
What is
Larry
this?
Elder's
Who's
more
getting most
famous
speaking
for
time? Well, yeah, that was interesting. Pence was trying to be assertive, which is hilarious.
I was surprised that he got the most speaking time.
No,
It
I'm not
makes
surprised
sense.
by it. It did seem like that. But that was because he was really trying to be assertive for the first time
And
in his life.
DeSantis in comparison is so low.
That's the problem with DeSantis.
Yeah.
No, I thought Fox News was kind of giving a little push to Ramaswamy. I thought they...
I know. I was surprised that Fox was giving him so much time.
In Hutchinson, no one's begging for more time there.
Yeah.
So.
That's just embarrassing for Scott. Like, he should
Do we
be.
think anybody's going to drop out now? Do we think any of these
because they
candidates
all
are going
have
to drop out?
Yeah, they all have their goals here, but obviously Hutchinson showed why he's not a serious contender.
Yeah.
Burgum, I think if Burgum trends at all, they're all going to expose him. He's going to be easy to expose.
Yeah.
Scott's going to die. Haley's going to die in the ratings. Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say that. Yeah.
Careful.
Scott, he's going to die.
He's going to die. It's all gone. No chance. By the way, here's another thing. Nothing about COVID tonight. Now, I'm just going to say this.
Besides DeSantis, he was the only
yes,
one
I
who
get
was
it, but
talking
I'm
about
saying
it.
no questions from Fox News. Now,
Yeah.
granted, yes, I guess we're just taking these conspiracy theories that COVID's reemerging. Although, if you go to actionforliberty.com, we talk about mask mandates coming back in health clinics here in Minnesota.
Yep.
We're going to be also posting something very interesting tomorrow on COVID. But I'll tell you this. You would say, Jake, well, geez, why would they just take that conspiracy theory? That's just Alex Jones talking. You're talking about UFOs. You had a damn question on UFOs. Why don't you talk about the thing going around the circles of the base right now? Mask mandates coming back. COVID lockdowns, boosters. That would have been a great question. I also would have loved it.
Chris
How many
looked-
people on stage got the booster? That would have been a great question. That would have been fun to see how that one went.
Mhm. But yeah, no, Chris Christie, he loved, I'm going to act cute. I'm going to pretend, I don't want to talk about aliens, he was just doing that because he was trying to win the crowd over. Make me laugh, make them laugh. Just make them think, aliens is such a crazy topic. I'd rather talk about real things, but of course it's like, what Fox News asked there was good. Will you level with the American
I actually
people
thought that was a
of
dumb
what the
question.
government knows? But, of course, Chris Christie gave an on-answer, If anybody's going to expose the aliens, it's not going to be Chris Christie. I'll call it right here.
I mean, you could make an argument that Trump really wouldn't do any of that either if he were reelected because he didn't do it the first time. He wouldn't release the JFK
He's gone
files.
further than other people, and your guy's DeSantis, so I don't even need to talk about that.
I'm wearing a Perry Johnson hat. I don't know what you're talking
Where was
about.
Perry Johnson tonight? Why didn't Perry Johnson show up?
He was in Milwaukee. Must have gotten lost on the way there. I don't know.
He should play basketball.
Yeah.
You get some sympathy. Yeah.
All right, we better shut this down here. 10:22.
good.
I can't believe it. We got a busy day tomorrow. State
I'm going
Fair.
to see you guys at the State Fair tomorrow.
Yeah, go to actionforliberty.com. Get your T-shirt tomorrow at State Fair. This is a Dump Biden T-shirt. We got fans, Dump Biden fans. They came in handy tonight because our AC
Keep you
went
cool.
off tonight.
Yeah.
Yep. We're at the State Fair. Fair gates open. I don't even know when the fair gates open. Right? We'll be there right at 8:00. We get there early, but I think you got to get there. The booth will be open sometime at 8:00 hour. We're early. We're early there. We shut down late. You'll see William mostly in the morning. Bridget will be there too on Friday and some other days. Jesse usually shutting it down at night. We'll be live broadcasting from the State Fair.
We're right across from the food building, and we have this big shady tree right next to us.
Nice.
So if you need to cool down, grab a fan, come on over. It's gonna be great.
A lot of people say the best shade. A really good shade over there.
Yep.
Double shade. We're in
7 a.m.
between
they
some
open.
trees,
Okay.
so
I
double
sleep at the
shade.
gates. 7 a.m. they open. We won't have it open at 7 a.m. Come find her, but you can't miss her booth, honestly. By the way, Tim Wall's booth not there. Too chicken shit.
Yep.
Election's over. He doesn't need to talk to the people. No one came to his booth last year. Our booth is really popular.
Did we
It's gonna
see
be
that
really
there's a Dean Phillips booth this year?
I mean, we should go to interview him. There you go.
I know.
Just
Yeah,
on
we
the
should-
street.
yeah.
That'd be a great.
I'd ask him some questions. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, we should do that. Okay. Thank you guys for the Rumble rants. We appreciate that. We did have some drinking rules tonight. That was awesome. Tucker, the Howenstein. It's Howenstein.
Very
beer. Very good. Jameson, by the way, we didn't open that up from a great supporter
one
of
of
the
these
show.
comments is throwing me off. It's Damn Nog that says Mike Pence mows his wife's lawn. What does that mean?
Who even knows?
I feel like it's an innuendo.
There's no barrier.
I think there's got to be some, but I'm missing it.
There's no barrier to entry on comment section here because obviously, look, you got Brad Ganser on the comment section too. Jameson, thank you for the sponsorship. Craig, supporting that. We didn't even open that. Willett's Bourbon.
We're not sponsored for legal reasons.
What's that?
For legal reasons, we're not sponsored by anybody.
We're not sponsored. That's true, but we are sponsored by the Dump Buying T-shirts. You can pick one up, $25 tomorrow. What a steal! I know what you're saying. $25. Gee, with this inflation, you can afford it. It's going to do a good cause. We will see you tomorrow live at 1 o'clock here, or if you're at the fair, come anytime starting after 8 a.m. Take care and God bless.